Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back for another episode. Just want to give a shout out to the Ready Safe Survival Tins and the Head Cleaner. We still have those survival tins, so if you would like a couple, be sure to comment in the video below and we will get you those along with a hat. So without further ado, let's jump right in.
When you got in the throttle real hard, it would spray oil on your leg. The head gasket would sound like a bee. Bzzz. Swear.
It was one of those. I remember Dad.
That four-wheeler had a curse on it.
Oh,
I locked up like 4 motors on that four-wheeler.
and here you blew up my very first brand new four-wheeler.
Facts.
You-
I don't. They still.
No,
That guy.
you didn't know. I remember the conversation. Whenever they called me after they diagnosed the problem, and they're like, "Well, we would take the head off, but we couldn't take the head off."
Because they couldn't figure out why it was still
And I
running.
said, "Why couldn't you?" And they said, "Because it was welded to the fucking cylinder.
It was under warranty. I don't want to hear it.
Because the cooling system malfunctioned and
Yeah.
it got hot enough, it melted the head to the cylinder
Yeah.
sleeve,
Warped everything
and
so bad.
it
was
warped it
pretty
so
awesome.
bad it couldn't come apart.
Yeah.
So that bitch got a new engine on
Dude,
it.
I don't know. I don't know that you ever rode that four-wheeler.
No, that was the KFX you're talking about.
No,
The
'cause
black
I rode
and
that.
red
I
one.
rode that black
took
and
it to
red one.
Winoka and shit.
Yeah, I
too.
know, but I rode that black and red one a lot.
But
I
only
rode the
had that thing
KFX a
for-
lot.
I only had that thing for a month too.
Yeah, I rode the longest
That
wheelie of
fucking-
my life on that
that-
black 450 you had. That black and red. For you can ask
So-
Brett. I rode it. I don't know. I pulled out an old 54 and I rode. You know that big ass hill after McDaniel's.
Yeah.
I rode it up the hill. I mean, I
Yeah.
kept going. I didn't
So
know that I was ever
I
going to
bought
set
a
it down.
2007 special edition,
It was the black and red.
black and red with the
flames.
red flames
Yeah.
on the plastic. It was a Honda 450R.
Yeah.
I had it a month, and his kid's like, "Hey, I want to ride up to the." Did I sell my Banshee then?
I don't remember.
I think I did because I met you up
I,
there.
I warped it in Stark.
Yeah, and
I welded
we were,
it to start.
and we were at mom's. 'Cause
Really?
I think I still had my Banshee before we traded it for the dirt bike. Bad idea. Bad.
Well, I don't know.
And so he calls me, and he's like, "We have a problem." And I said, "What?" He was like, "It won't start again."
Locked up tighter than shit.
Oh,
no, it would
still turn
crank.
over. It.
So
I mean, it was
I go up
hard.
there, hit him up there on my Banshee, and I'm like, "I'm gonna go
Spun
get my
main
truck."
bearing?
No,
just hold on.
I rode it
So-
back. We pull
Oh,
started
yeah,
it.
yeah, we fucking pull started
Sure,
and,
oh,
and,
I
and
swear.
it fucking ran. So he hauled ass back to my mom's.
Yeah.
So I called my dad. He was like, "Go drop it off at Kirby Super Sports because I paid for the
That's where we
power
bought it,
chain
where we
warranty
got it
for it."
from.
And
In
so
Chinook?
yeah, I dropped it off, and they called me a week later, and they're like, "So we figured out the problem." And I said, "Okay, what's that?" They're like, "Well, we went to take the head off, and we couldn't get the head off." And I said, "Why?"
Oh, she got hot.
Well, the cooling system malfunctioned, and it warped and almost welded the head to the cylinder sleeve.
Not your fault.
And I was like, "Okay." And they're like, "So you're just basically gonna get a whole
Yeah.
new engine."
They took a motor off of a 2008 and stuck it
They
in his
yeah,
four-wheeler.
they just swapped them out.
Yeah.
And
It was pretty
then
neat.
Oh my god.
That
Yeah.
this scar on my eyebrow, that's from his KFX.
so that KFX, I found it on the internet, and
We bought it in
I called
Bass
this
Pro
dude.
parking lot.
So what'd you do with the Honda? You just
We're not gonna talk about that.
That was a bad day. That was a
We're
bad.
not
day.
Didn't
gonna talk
work?
about
It was a whole bad family drama.
Yeah.
it didn't get fixed.
No, it got
No,
fixed.
it
and
got
we-
fixed,
We rode the
and-
fuck out of it for
and
years. Or
then
well,
it
no,
got-
for like 8 months.
And then it got repoed for a dumbass reason.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, not by like the bank, by my father,
Oh.
because of
'Cause
I had
Dad co-signed for him.
because what happened
Oh.
was I quit my job at 7-Up in the city because I
Right.
wanted to come back home, and when I did that, he found out about it.
He's
and
like,
he-
you quit
and
your job, I'm taking your four-wheeler.
He just went and took it. I
And then-
had like
You know that
$2,000
red,
in my
that
bank
red bass
account.
boat that my dad had?
He
That's-
traded it for
that's
that
where
bike.
That's where the boat came from.
Mhm. And you want to know who repoed it? My brother-in-law.
Oh.
He came and
That's where
I found
that's
out.
where the butt hurt comes
I
from.
found out from Billy that Billy was very upset about that
Yeah.
because my dad went behind Billy and asked Logan to go get it. And it's in the past, whatever. Well, then I found that KFX on the
Still
internet.
hurts a little bit. We can feel
And
it.
no, I get along with Logan fine.
Yeah.
No, I know, but
and,
I could see the
Oh, yeah, it was one of those. I would probably still have that bike to this day because it was the bike I've always wanted. And I
but
looked
it was
for
clearly a piece of shit.
No,
No,
it
The
was
way it
brand
just
new.
quit on
it was
you,
brand new.
It was brand new. We put every hour.
but the
that was
cooling
on.
system quit.
but
Well,
that
it
was
just
just
it was just a
well,
freak deal.
well,
Right,
you can see from 2006 before that they didn't have cooling systems. I don't think
See, my problem with the 450 when they first came out,
those were kickstarts.
the YFC, the KFX, the LTZ, all of them.
KFX didn't come out till 2009.
I know, but my problem when all of them,
Yeah.
once they first got them all on the market, it's a fucking dirt bike motor
Oh yeah.
on a 4-wheeler frame.
Mm-hmm.
You're stressing those motors way more than they should be because they're pulling more weight than they should be.
Yeah.
And they didn't get all the kinks worked out. The
Yeah.
YFZ, hunk of
Oh
shit.
fuck yeah! But
Hunk
when,
of shit.
when they switched to the fuel injector,
Once they got
YFZs,
them figured out,
And so that's when I
oh,
bought
oh, they
the
were
KFX.
power plants then.
that
I
KFX you had was fun.
I met this dude in Cabela's parking lot
Yeah.
at the Legends.
Really?
It was
Yeah.
fucking raining,
and we rode the shit out of it in that parking lot.
and so we rode it around the park. He pulled up in a flatbed something, and once again just rolled it out the fucking back.
Yeah.
And
Shocks
so
worked.
then, and so the shocks worked, and so we rode it around. I bought it. We had gone home. Well, the only downside to it had the loudest fucking exhaust I'd ever heard.
So loud.
It had a
No Nerf bars,
it had a Yoshimura programmer
Oh,
on
nice.
a HMF straight pipe.
and it had
Oh.
0 top end. It would shoot out of the hole like a
Yeah.
like a fucking
It was,
lightning
geared-
bolt.
geared
was
down?
definitely it was definitely geared down for like short track
Nobody
racing.
could keep up with it right out of the gate. But
Till, like,
goddamn,
top end, it
a
had nothing.
300EX would blow its doors off.
Until,
on the
like-
top
Oh
end.
God.
Until like the top of gear 4, you're good.
Yeah.
And then after that, you're fucked.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
dead end at that point. And so we took it home, and I remember he called me because this was in like February. I got my taxes and I bought it.
Yeah.
This was in like This was in like
Because
March
that's
or
how we
April.
do it in Southeast Kansas. You get your taxes, you buy things.
Ballin'.
And so
All in.
he called me. He was like, "Hey, I'd like to take your bike out." I'm like, "Okay." So I had it in my grandparents' garage. So we went and picked it up. And I remember he called me like the next day, and he was like, "I don't want to ride it no more." And I was like, "What happened?"
This thing's
he-
mean.
And I remember he sent me, you or mom sent me a photo of your ankle wrapped up
Uh-oh.
because he had jumped
I
it.
was at West Coast.
Oh, yeah.
Up in the
That's where
tabletop.
everybody
His
got
fucking
injured.
foot slipped off,
My
and he
foot-
rolled
it
that
didn't have any
motherfucker
Nerf bars.
over because there's no Nerf
It
bars.
ran
Jordan Hiley did that. Do you
Yeah.
remember?
Yeah, he's the reason why they shut that bitch down.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I was with him.
Yeah.
It ran
Dude,
over my
I
foot.
literally stood next to him and watched his femoral artery pump.
So
He
I
was
remember
so close to
whenever
dying.
they whenever they shut that down for a long time.
Yeah.
Hinton called me one day, and it was when I had my black and red 450R, and he was like, "Hey, a bunch of us guys from high school together are all gonna come out and ride." I was like, "All right, cool." Well, then it was you. I don't think it was you. It was Brett and a couple other people had called me and said, "Hey, we would like to go to Hesco's. Can you get us in?" I was like, "I'm gonna call Denton," and I called Denton, and he was like, "Yeah, just go," because he thinks he owns that land.
Right.
Which I love Denton to death. He's a great friend of mine. And so we went out there. Well, his dad showed up.
Oh, and his old man, Gary, was
Yeah.
pissed.
Well,
Yeah.
no, he pulled in, and he hadn't seen me yet. I was out riding, and I pulled back in. He was chewing everybody's ass. "Get the fuck out of here. We don't ride here no more." And he looks at me and goes, "Hey,
Damn it.
Cody." And I was like, "Hey, Gary." And he was like, "Are they with you?" And I said, "Yes." And he was like, "All right, everybody needs to sign one of these."
Yeah.
Yep.
And it was a fucking waiver form that if you fucked up, he was
It was
not
on you,
liable for
not
it.
him.
It was on you.
And Jordan, in Gary's defense, he tried to be cool about it even then.
Yeah.
Jordan told him, he's like, dude, it's no big deal.
But
It's
it
no
was
big deal.
Jordan's insurance. that
As
fucked
they're rolling him into the
His insurance
ambulance,
person, like,
yes, he's
puts
like,
the
it's
subject.
okay, I'm not doing anything. His insurance, because
Yeah.
they had to pay so much,
yeah,
they're like, we're going after wherever you were at.
and I guess he got fucked.
Dude,
Like-
you should have seen his leg.
I'm sure it was bad. It had to be bad for that to
The
happen.
worst part of it was we just put a set of those 2-inch wide AC Pro Peg
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
pegs on it. Sharp as shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't have
Tore-
Nerf bars yet.
tore
It was on that
shreds.
old 03 white and black Raptor.
Yeah.
And I'm right
That
in
was
front
the
of him.
first problem.
Yeah. Oh no, I don't know.
Raptor.
I had the baddest fucking Raptor on the
I had a
planet.
cool Raptor too.
Oh,
Yours is
I-
a hunk of shit.
I rolled that motherfucker
The
in reverse
only-
like 3 times.
the only 4-wheeler in Bourbon County that could beat me to this day.
I'm saying either Cody Cutler or Dustin Beasley.
Nope.
You didn't ride with the right people then.
No. Jason Bolton.
On
that
his
freaking
250R.
Predator.
Oh,
That
was the
Polaris
one that-
Predator.
That
That was-
was
I'm
the one
talking
that
top
Ross
end.
bought.
yeah.
I've got 16-second time slips at home still
I
in a little picture frame at Mocan, smoked everybody.
I took a shock up the ass on that Predator.
That Predator was mean.
and when I say shock up
And
the
he
ass, it's
passed
not
me.
like up
He
the
literally
ass.
passed me right here at the viaduct where it goes over the railroad tracks
Yep.
on the back wheels.
I
cruising.
remember
That
we
thing was
took that
mean.
fucking bike.
Chisholm Hayner had it too.
Yeah, so
Yep,
we,
he
'cause-
did
yeah,
after
yeah,
after
'cause-
Jason got rid of it.
Well, because Ross sold it to Chisholm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember we took it to Winoka,
Yeah.
and Brett's 400 blew up,
Yeah.
and so I was like, "Well, you can ride my bike. I would trust you with mine because it had a warranty." Because when I had my black and red 450R, I was like, "I'll ride Ross's" because it didn't have one,
Right.
and I was way closer to Ross than fucking. Well, we had been drinking because Reese McKinney and all them were fucking down there, and there was a bunch of bikes and dirt bikes jumping. They were having a fucking contest. Well, then Billy Newell's like, "You fucking better get in there." Well, he had those fucking Fox float shocks where you could raise them up.
What kind
and
of
you could-
shocks were they?
Fox float shocks.
Damn it.
And
I hate it when he does it good the second time.
he's the only one I give a fucking pass to, by the way.
I love it. No, I dig it.
And
That was
so,
one story I was gonna tell. That whenever
Okay.
remember that.
Yeah.
yeah,
remember
that's,
whenever I said-
that's the fucking story. When I get done with this one, you can tell that
Yes.
one.
Yes.
So we got the
I
jump.
love
Well, Hogan was on his KFX 400,
What kind?
and so
I
um,
friggin' dig it. Because it's only when he
was-
gets excited
Yeah.
or really passionate about something, he fucks it all up, and I love
because
it.
Billy had his brute.
Yep.
And so I was on Ross's bike, and we got to fucking jumping,
Right.
and well, the alcohol kicked in.
Mm.
And I remember,
good.
I
Just
remember
took the wheel.
Hogan goes, "I'm gonna open this bitch up," which he was on a 400. I was on that Predator 500,
Right. Oh,
and I was like,
man.
"If you open it up, I'm gonna open it up."
And
we
you
went
shouldn't
way
have.
back, and he fucking flipped it around, and all I heard was whop 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 whop, and he hit fifth and was gone.
Yeah, but fifth
And-
on his KFX and
Yeah, I
fifth
was
on the
gonna
Predator,
say.
two
And
different
so I
fifths.
was
Fifth
like,
on that
alright.
4-wheeler you was on was way more.
And so I was like, "All right, he fucking did it. I'm gonna fucking do it." And so I fucking hit fifth, and I remember I left the ground, and that was it.
But he's like,
I mean,
"Die."
everybody was watching me, and I looked down and I said, "I fucked up."
Well, that's
Yeah.
a long ways
And
down.
I hit, and that fucking shock hit the bottom of that fucking seat. It broke the bolt. Hit the bottom of that fucking seat, and I went off. I mean, I fucking pogoed
Yeah.
off that motherfucker, and everyone come
and your
fucking riding down
tailbone
there.
hates
Oh,
you
it was
still.
bruised to shit.
Oh yeah.
And fucking Billy goes,
Mhm.
"I didn't mean that much."
Yeah. Yeah.
Said, hey, go hard or go home.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, you told me to get in there," and he was like, "I didn't fucking mean try to win it." And I was like, "Well,
why not?
what the fuck you mean try to win it?"
That quarry down at the end of 250th or whatever it is, over
That's-
on Loft Limestone.
That's
that nobody's supposed to
Joey
ride in.
Joey
all that.
Bazone's.
Yeah.
When I worked at Timber Hills, that's the Timber
Yeah.
Hills Quarry. Yeah,
We
That's a
You-
good
you-
one.
You're talking about the one where you
Yeah.
right by where I used to live.
yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
one too.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
it's a great one, but
Yeah.
you always get caught.
Yeah, but you know what's?
I never did.
You don't
But-
have to.
Yeah.
I don't even have a 4-wheeler anymore, and I could go ride 4-whieler
But
right
yeah,
now.
but you know every fucking buddy.
I
At the
didn't
time, I
mean
was
to.
fucking like 19
Yeah.
years
I know,
old and didn't know
I
anybody.
know, and it's funny too because he's talking about it, and I was like, "Where's that quarry at?"
Yeah,
And he goes, "You don't know?" He's like, "Everybody in Bourbon County." I'm like, "No,
there's so many
refresh me.
fucking full.
Where exactly is it located?" And he goes, and he tells me, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, I think I may have been there a couple of times." I'm like,
Yeah.
you were probably the one that ran me out of there."
No
Yeah.
shit. Yeah, no, I was on his KFX and got fucking drunk. And it wasn't super long
ready?
after you got it.
Or, oh no,
It wasn't super long after you had got it, and I was
oh on mine.
yeah. I was
Here we go.
I was
Stories I don't
drunk
know
as
about.
shit. You knew about it because I was when I rolled it.
Oh,
I was
yep,
drunk
you
as
did.
fuck, and I was doing fishtails down the road.
Oh
Well, I was used to be running around with the Colton Bun.
Yeah.
And they owned that little piece of shit trailer right out of there, and you went east, and you went up top of that hill, and there was a trailer right on the right hand side,
Okay,
on the
yeah.
south side of the road.
Yeah.
Well, we were all staying there. Well, I was cutting shitties on that gravel road. Well, there were some washboards that I didn't know was there. It was pitched so dark outside, and I fucking had the 4-wheeler sideways and caught one of them fucking washboards. No, it just
Oh.
whoop, right over, and I was right next to the road or right next to the ditch, and it just
threw
flipped
you
me-
in the ditch.
threw me off. No, I ran my face up a tree.
Oh
And-
God!
This eyebrow's got this line that runs right through it.
Oh, it was
and-
gouged. Like,
Oh my god!
my
and-
mom lost a Q-tip in there.
Oh,
Colton rolls the 4-wheeler over, and he's like, "You good?" And I'm like, "Oh fuck, I'm good. You know, I've done way
yeah, I'm
worse.
fine.
I'm fine." He goes, "Well, been down here by the front lights, and we'll make sure you're doing all right." And by that time, I'm just drenched. In
And he
blood.
goes, "Oh,
and,
you're
and
not
he's like,
good."
he's like, well, you need to get back up there. We need to go. And I'm like, okay, you know. And so we ride up there, and his wife, we walk in the door, and she's like, oh, you guys have fun, and he's like, honey, you need to fix his face. And I didn't know I was drunk, and they somehow got it to quit
In
bleeding
your defense,
somewhat.
the eyebrows don't hurt.
And no,
They just
well,
bleed
and I
like
was
crazy.
Drunk as shit too.
Yeah.
And I woke up the next morning, my face was so stiff. Well, it was just covered in blood. Well,
Oh my god!
I washed it all off, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then it just starts puking blood again, and I'm like, oh fuck. So I go outside,
problems.
load the four-wheeler up, go home, and I'm like, Mom,
The bike was fun.
because you know
The bike was fine.
it has some scratches,
To clarify.
plastic and shit.
Yeah, we, you
and
know,
and
it's
That's
not
the
his
first
bike.
thing
Definitely-
everybody
It's-
asks.
it's-
definitely
it's-
wasn't
did
my
you hurt
four-wheeler.
the
It's
bike?
not the fact that his yellow 400 was just sitting in the fucking garage.
Probably.
It's the first thing everybody asks. How's the bike?
And
Fine.
I walked in the-
lost a kidney, but the
Yeah.
bike's fine.
walked in the front door, and my mom's like, "What the fuck happened to you?" And I was like, "I don't.
Because
Something's
my
wrong
mom
with
never
my
expected
eyebrow."
anything less.
Well,
No.
and we never.
Her fucking motto was "Don't get dead."
No,
Yeah.
I know.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
I know.
It
I
was,
met your mama.
Yeah.
and it was like we never went to the doctor. Mom doctored
No,
us.
you-
that was
you'll
just
be
how
fine.
it was.
Sit
If
down.
she,
And
if
She
couldn't
gets in
do
there
it,
with the
fucking Candy
fucking
could do it.
peroxide on a Q-tip, and she starts digging around in my eye, and she's like,
You know what's crazy?
loses the end of the damn.
I totally see the line
Yeah.
clear as hell
oh,
now.
it's so.
Oh,
clean,
yeah.
so clean.
Yeah.
And it
right?
goes right with your eyebrow too.
100%. Yeah, and she's like, "Oh,
That's kind of deep.
yeah," and I was like, "Okay," and she's like, "You probably should have stitches," and I was like, "I don't want stitches," and she grabs 2 butterfly bandages and peels my eyebrow back
Pinch
together.
it together.
Yep, and she's like, "Don't take those off for 2 or 3 days." She's like, "You leave them there, or you're gonna be paying for it." And here
It's
I
funny
am.
too because it's the same eye as me. I always look surprised on the left side because I cut that whole side off and laid it on my nose. I wrecked a motorcycle going to Butler at like 75 mile an hour. Everything was cool until I seen the fence coming. I'm like, oh, and I leaned back, caught the T-post, and I put my sunglasses in it. And I got up and I'm like,
Where's my sunglasses?
I'm alive. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I'm
oh
dead.
fuck,
Alive.
can't see out of my left eye.
I'm breathing.
And I go, I go running up on the road, and this guy is like, "Hey, Mister, you good?" Oh my god!
Yeah,
And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Don't look, don't look."
yeah,
And I lean down and look in his mirror, and I don't know if there's anything in my skull, but I know I have one
yeah.
because I saw it. And I'm like, I'm fucking blind. And I grabbed this hunk of meat and went like that.
And you can see.
I was like, "Oh, my eye's good, my eye's good."
Yeah.
So we just tied it up with a bandana, and that's why this side looks surprised all the time.
I kind of did the same thing, but I wrapped barbed wire around my fucking neck.
Yeah, that was a racetrack though.
Wow.
So this
So,
racetrack we were
story-
racing.
No,
We-
no,
we gotta- you
we
wanna
got to
hear
go
it.
to the story.
Yeah, we didn't
Yeah.
get a story.
Because I fucking love it.
Yeah,
Every
we can go
time we
story.
talk about
we
this kind
were
of stuff.
we were playing Call of Duty. It was back in COVID, and
Oh.
Call of Duty was just all the time.
Yeah.
I mean,
well-
that was when Warzone dropped.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so
Perfect timing.
Yeah.
there was like 4 of us that always played together. If there was any more than 4, we had to go play multiplayer.
Yeah.
Well, Dax jumped in the lobby with us, and so mind you, Dax was like 12,
Right.
and this
How
kid
was
was
Dax,
Oh.
by the
so mouthy.
I love it.
So mouthy, and
Nothing better
Oh,
than mouthy
dude.
fucking
12-year-old?
young teenager.
Oh
yeah.
my god! So we're playing Call of Duty, and Cody starts. I don't know. He got pissed off at somebody, and he got
Oh, yeah.
locked up.
Oh, yeah, I love
mean,
it.
He's like locked,
I love it.
and
Today.
we're all just like letting him run with it because we all know better.
Yeah.
And Dax let it rip once. He's like, spit it out, Junior. And Cody just like, Dax, shut up. I mean, just rolled with it.
I always give you one.
And
Yeah, for sure.
I always
and
give
then
you
he-
one.
He gives me like 20 because he knows I love it.
it
Yeah.
wasn't but 2 minutes later, and Cody's locked up on something else. And Dax, hey, Junior, and Cody's like, Dax, I swear to fucking God, if you don't shut up, I'm gonna drive to your house and snap your fucking neck. And Dax goes, "Bloop," leaves the game.
Leaves it.
I mean, just bloop, didn't say anything, just left.
Oh my god.
And mind you, we're playing with all of Dax's brothers. Oldest
Brock
brother,
and Chase
So you scared them all.
no.
No.
Oh hell no,
Just
they're,
him.
They're all like, well, goddamn, Cody, you didn't have to scare him to death. And he's just like, well, I gave him one shot, and they all just, all right, carried on, like never even.
Like I said,
fucking
I always
faced him.
give you one.
See,
Like-
and with me, I think I get a pass because I like it.
Right.
I know he's either passionate about something or super fucking excited. And I had a cousin that was 20.
Well, what you hear now, it used to be times by like 1,000,000.
Oh my God!
When we
I
were
pray
in
for
high
that.
school, when he was in high
I
school,
pray for that.
it
We
was
literally
rough.
done what? Probably the first 10, 12 episodes. Couldn't get him to do it.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
We get done filming. I'm like, dude.
he's either got to be, if he's pissed off,
Oh,
if you get him like rednecked, because he's got a scar around his neck that you don't ever know.
I know. I
there.
can't wait.
But if you get him pissed, his neck will turn red. He's got a ring around his
I can't
neck.
wait. We're gonna have to
And
go
he
somewhere so somebody
cannot-
can piss you off. I want to see it.
And
You
he
wanna let
cannot
me out of
speak.
jail?
Well, I will. I mean, I got side money that just for that. I just want to see it one time. Him get all red faced and just.
Dude, he like locks up and like his face locks up and his head, and then he just like, and then you just gotta either stop or I've learned. I mean, I've been around him
Right.
obviously my whole life,
Right.
but like I've learned, I'm just like, Cody, chill, and like once you break his attention, he's like,
I'm good.
and then he'll right out of it.
I just want him to do one time. One time. I want you to do what my cousin used to do, where he'd commit and he's like, and you know he's gonna say fuck and he go,
I did that.
Shit.
So
and you're like,
Just
Speaking
change the whole
wrong
word.
word,
speaking
wrong
of
word.
that,
And get so mad
So when
that
we
he's
were-
just abandoned it halfway through and go, shit. I'm like,
So,
yeah.
whenever we
Yeah.
were, I was at work the other day, and I worked till 6 almost.
Yeah.
And I
Oh,
called
I bet
Gavin.
you were tired as shit.
I
too.
called fucking Gavin, and I was like, I was telling him that I had figured it out and got them all done. And he's like, and I started to stutter, and Gavin didn't say anything. And I don't know what I was trying to say, but I was just like, fuck. And he just like was quiet, and I was like, I fucking stutter, Gavin, I'm sorry. And he just was like, you're okay, bud. He tried not to laugh.
No
And I
big
was
deal.
like,
You're good.
Yeah.
and I was like, I
Yep.
think I just made his fucking night. Because the next day he fucking me was like, Cody tried. He
The-
fucking tried.
The only time he's ever got pissy with me. Only time. And the first time I said it, he kind of chuckled because he was in the other room, and we're doing
Like I said,
something.
he'll give you one.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
But he was having a bad day. In his defense, he was having a bad day, and I kind of just dug the knife in a little deeper. I don't even remember what movie it's off of, but it's off a movie, and that kid starts stuttering, and they're like, Stuttering Stanley, Stuttering Stanley. And I did that, and he goes, that's it. That's your one. And I'm like, dude's having a bad day.
Yep.
So the next morning he comes in, I was like, what's up, Stanley? He goes, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're good. He goes, I know, but why you gotta do that? Why you gotta poke the bear? And I'm like, because it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I usually give people their.
But I'm
one.
not. I think with me and him, it works because I'm not making fun of him.
Right.
Well, I'm not laughing at him. I'm laughing with him.
Right.
Like,
because
the
he
fucking
gets-
thing with him is he's so intrigued.
He
Right.
gets frustrated.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, take a breath.
Yeah.
It's funny.
The only person
Live with it. It's
and-
good. You got to embrace that shit.
The only person that still gets to me, and I hate to say this, and if he ever watches this episode, maybe he'll fucking figure it out after almost 33
Your
years.
dad.
Is Dad.
I know.
When I do it around Dad, and he was like, "Would you just fucking quit?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, I would love to.
If you
Well,
can
that's
figure out how to make that happen, let me know.
Yeah.
you can
that's
do
the
it, I
worst,
can
that's
do
the
it.
worst
I
part
mean-
about that is his delivery is always way off.
Yeah.
Like, he may not mean anything by it, and he may just probably be the same thinking he's doing the
But
same
it's
thing
like,
I
dude,
am. It's just
I
like, dude,
can't.
take a breath. And
Yeah.
then, no, but he's like, well, you didn't fucking done yet?
Yeah.
And it's just like, man, you could have said that a whole lot.
What cracks me up
yeah.
about my father is he's just, he can be intelligent in certain areas,
Oh, yeah.
but he's very fucking dumb at the same time. Because so we were going to
He
Chadwick
doesn't
one
get the
time.
cues.
So he was
Hey,
driving to
wait.
Chadwick, Missouri one time.
Oh, I
Okay,
love
but
Chadwick.
It's a fucking
Other than the
windy
fact that it's
fucking-
hard as hell on tires.
Yeah,
That's
All
but
them
you know how to
Chad-
get there. You
God, they
like
tear
like
four-wheeler
when
tires
you're
up.
going in, it's that fucking windy,
I love
curvy
it.
shit.
Love that.
I have motion sickness,
Yeah.
so I'm in the
That's
passenger
really
seat.
bad.
oh,
and
I'd have been driving.
My
80.
dad's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "If you don't calm down, I'm a puke." He was like, "Why?" And I was like, "Dad, I
would've
have
sped
motion
up.
sickness." And he was like, "The fuck you do?" And I was like, "I've had it my whole life." And he was like, "No, you haven't. When did this start?"
And I don't understand why he's so surprised. His
And I was like-
mom can't hardly look at hills without throwing up.
Yeah, and I was like,
Really?
"Dad, I've been
Grandma
puking
Debbie?
since I was a baby. Do you not remember? You've never fucking done that."
Yeah, dude.
And I'm like,
it's-
"Yes, I have." And,
Hello,
he,
McFly. Yes, I have.
and my
fine.
dad's like, "No, you haven't." And I was just like, and fucking just puked all over the inside
Oh.
of the truck.
Yeah.
And he was like, You do.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
said, well, guess what? I got it now. And look at your
Well,
truck.
Because do you not remember fucking going to Roaring River?
Oh yeah, my
Oh.
mom used to. She used to.
You get
take-
down those curves in
I have
Camden?
to
Well,
pee
we went down.
again.
We went down once a year, twice a year, with mom. And
If
mom and
you were
Jeff,
going to Eureka Springs, Jeff would hand me a trash bag.
he'd hand him a trash bag, and
Shut up.
my mom would hand him a box of Dramamine. And when you woke up, take another one.
Yep.
Because
Even
they-
if you don't need it, you will before the day's
wake
over.
up and take
it now.
another one because they wanted him to sleep the whole way.
Yep.
And they'd wake him up when he got there, and he'd sleep the rest of the day. And then the next day, he's good.
Dude, I dig it. I love it when he gets all just like into
All
shit and
coatied
starts
up.
stuttering.
Yeah.
Oh my God, fucking kills me.
So the heat of what year did the original Call of Duty, like Modern Warfare 2 and shit, come out? And I was gonna say like 2008,
09?
2009, dude. When of course he was still in high school, I was in middle school,
Right.
and so we're staying up, all hours of the night to play these games. And you want to talk about stuttering real bad? You
Oh,
talk about
getting
a teen-
tired?
Well, no, you talk about a teenager. I mean, that was the peak of shit talking on goddamn
Yeah.
video games.
Yeah.
And he would just, man, them people in them lobbies would get him fired up, and he'd be getting people fired up, and man, he'd get to going, chainsawing, and just
Well, it's like when he was streaming for
yeah,
what was the game?
Tarkov.
No, for when you were doing all the big streaming at work. At what?
Apex.
Apex, yeah.
Yeah.
When he was streaming for Apex. And he was like, he was sponsored and getting all this shit. I'm like, you know why?
Yeah.
And he goes, no. I'm like, dude, when you get excited, you're freaking hilarious. He's like, yeah, okay. I'm like, no, you get stuck on a word. I freaking dig it. I wait all day for him to get stuck on one and really just, you can see the frustration and the passion, like, and I'm like, yeah, get it. I'm over there cheering him
Like when
on.
my fucking neck turns all fucking
Oh,
red.
Yeah, he gets mad and I'm cheering him on. I'm like,
Typically
oh.
speaking, if his neck's turning red, somebody needs to get him out of the situation.
Yeah, I know.
He's fixing to shut his lights off. And
I've only seen that a couple times. And
You
that was
want to
just,
see me shut my lights off.
I do.
it's not usually a good time unless you know how to handle it.
It will be totally fun for me. Because I'm going to be in the back going, ha, told you. Get him, sick kill. I've had several
he
attack
doesn't-
dogs.
And if he doesn't punch somebody, he's punching something.
I love it.
Yeah.
Just don't punch hard things.
The last
Oh, he
time
does.
I will
He
keep you.
loves-
I will keep
I
you
can
from breaking
honestly
your.
say that
He loves trees.
the last time I turned my lights off was Lucas's wedding.
Was
Oh,
the
yeah.
wedding? Oh,
And
I
it
know. I've
wasn't
heard that
my
story.
fucking fault.
Yeah. No.
I
Wait,
felt
no,
terrible.
That was the first time in my life because
You got to see it.
Well, no, I got to see.
He had
most
to
of it,
intervene.
but I had to intervene. But I got to see it firsthand. So when I got there,
No, I know. I bet it was awesome, wasn't it?
yeah. Well, because Brock called me.
Scary.
Brock called
But
me
awesome.
and he's like, you need to get down here. Cody's
gotta
going
get him under
crazy.
control.
And I'm like, fuck are you talking about? So I didn't even know anything was going on. This is when my dad should have took me instead of taking Cody because I'm the cool one. I'll just defuse the situation and
If
move
it's
on.
good, we're fine.
Yeah.
Cody's like, I
And the
hate
sad thing
you.
is I was good, so I was in a great mood.
Yeah. Oh,
I was
yeah.
having
That
fun.
was the first time in a long time that I've seen him like let loose with his family and everything just be fucking happy. Like he was taking
And
pictures
then
with people.
I was
We are
having,
so related.
I was
and we're
having
not
fun, and
related.
then we got down there, and I've always been close to Nick.
Yeah. Well,
And
he saw
we
Nick
walked
bleed,
in,
and it was like I swear to
Snap.
God,
it was like
it was like a fucking light switch clicked in his fucking
Been
brain,
there.
and he went.
well, because I was always told as the oldest, you have to take care of your family.
Absolutely.
And Nick is my cousin, and so when I seen him bleeding, I said, "What happened?" And he said, "That motherfucker hit me."
Yeah.
Bing.
Oh my
I'm
God.
gone.
I got there, and he's just like, I had almost gotten him come out of it because I've been around him for 29 years. I've gotten fairly decent at talking him off a ledge.
Right.
And it's like,
See, I love that because I would have been that guy going, a little further. You're good. You're good. That's the edge. Yep. Yep, right there.
no, he.
It's kind of good to have that guy that's
yeah.
like, "Hey,
No,
hey,
that's
hey,
what I'm
hey,
saying.
hey."
It's good to have him and not me
Yeah,
because I've been
and
like,
I've also-
oh, you got it. You're fine.
I've also got retard strength that if
Fucking
I
bitch
need
if
to,
you don't.
if I need to pull him off, I can get him
Yeah.
off. But
He's
It-
the one who fucking bruised Tony Bill's nipples.
Yeah.
no
Those
shit,
needed
but-
to be bruised.
But anyways, I get there and he's just fucking glassed over. And Nathan Hauser, I don't know if you know Nathan Hauser,
I know, Nate.
but
He can
he's-
take a fucking punch.
Oh yeah, he can.
Soaking haze.
But he stands
Nathan can
every
take
bit
a
as tall
punch.
as you, probably a little taller. You know, he's
Yeah.
280, 250.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
he big boy.
big fella.
He big
And
boy.
he carries it fucking like on his shoulders.
All in his chest.
Yeah.
He's big dude.
And he's like, Nathan's like, just come on,
Pushing him
cool,
off.
calm, and collected. Like I'm not gonna feed into this, but I'm gonna get you out of here.
Right.
And I get there, and about that time, Cody's getting real sick and tired of Nathan pushing him back.
Oh, I can't.
And I don't
wait.
know if you remember cold cocking Nathan or not.
The last thing I remember was I hit Brock.
Yeah.
And
Brock
that's
Hauser.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Uh-huh.
when Nathan, because Brock was the one that hit Nick,
Right.
and then Nathan jumped right in.
Yeah.
He was like, no, you don't want to do
Yeah.
this. You don't want to do this. Just leave. And I was like, no. Well, he kept pushing me.
Yeah, I showed
Well,
up.
whenever
I
you're
fly
drunk,
into
you're
this
like, don't
fucking-
touch
Oh
me.
yeah. Put,
Yeah.
And
put
he
your
touched
hands
me
on me.
enough times, and I was like, I'm
gonna
fucking
happen.
done. If you touch me again, I'm gonna hit you. And he was like, you need to leave. And then I hit him.
I pulled up, and that's about the time like Cody's like, I swear to God, Nathan, if you touch me again, I'm punching you in the face. And Nathan's like, I'm trying. Like he's just one step at a time. I'm pushing you back up the hill. Like I'm gonna get you out of here one way or another.
No, you're not.
And Cody, he pushes him. Cody takes one step back, and I mean every fucking ounce of sweat,
fucking
blood,
let
and
it-
tears
I let it all
right
out.
across his
yeah.
fucking face. And Nathan goes, "Are you done yet?"
Oh.
Like, but see, here's the thing. His
Oh.
best friend's Reese McKinney.
Yeah.
Oh
And
yeah.
Reese McKinney
Yeah.
can throw a fucking punch.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I mean,
Okay,
he
he
brushed it
fucking-
off. I mean, literally, like,
And at that point, I was like, all right.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
probably-
I know this ain't
probably
going
should've
no
sat
fucking
down.
where.
And it was like Nathan looked at me and he goes, "That was his one free shot. It's your turn because I won't do it again." And I was like, "Okay, I'll sub in, coach."
All right, we're
and-
done. We're
And
done.
yeah,
But it was
and
one
then-
of those. He was like, "That's your one free," and I was like, "That's all I had."
Yeah,
I mean, like,
yeah.
Oh, I
That's-
did that. I did that one night, and so this is gonna show my age. This was at Tony's Old Country Barn.
I don't know what that is.
No,
Mm.
it's where Peerless's powder coat booth is now.
Okay.
There was a bar there
Yeah.
between
Didn't know that.
Fastenal and Peerless on that little dead end road.
Mm-hmm.
So we walked in there one night, and I took this dude to the bar with me. His
I've
I've heard
nickname
this story.
his nickname was Skillet. If he ever watches this, some bitch lives in South Dakota. Probably the biggest, orneriest bareback rider you ever met in your whole life. I ran around with the whole freaking rodeo team, and they called him Skillet because his old lady, he married her right before he went to college on the rodeo team. Like that was a great idea. She hit him in the head with a cast iron skillet,
And, he took
and
my
as the
chance.
son bitch wiped the blood off his face, he goes, "I'm gonna have to kill you." I was like, "Oh my god."
Yeah.
So we go to the bar one night, and I was having some issues with, everybody else and other shit. Anyway, I was just ready to fight. I didn't care who, I didn't care how. I was gonna hit somebody before the night was over. And we're sitting at the bar. I looked at him. I said, "All these people in here are pussies. We're gonna fight tonight." He goes, "No, we're not. You need to shut up." I said, "No, you don't understand. Somebody gonna fight me tonight. And it's probably gonna be you." And he goes, "Well, I'm not going to because we came together. And you're staying in my house." I said, "Yeah, well, that ain't what your mom said." And you could see the look on his face change. And he
yeah.
goes, "Did you ever talk about my mama?" I didn't realize at this point his mama was dead.
Same.
Dude, yeah, but your mama was awesome.
He
Your mama
fucking
was
said all
awesome.
the time at work.
I'm like, "Your mom," and he goes, "She's dead." I'm like, "Quit."
Yeah, I did that to a guy because I got this new job. I've only been there about 6 months, and I did that to a guy. He said something, and he was like, "That's not what your mom said last night," and I was like, "That's weird because my mom's dead." And he's like,
She's currently
Oh.
in my gun safe.
"Yeah,"
Oh.
and he's like, "Fuck." And
Yeah.
I was like, "Calm down. I wouldn't have said it if I was salty about it."
Yeah.
So I told him that because like when I first did it, he was like, "Dude, that's kind of fucked up," and I was like, "No, you don't understand my mom.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, I do.
Like if she
She
could find
expects
a
us to
joke
do
in
that.
anything,
she would have. She
Yeah.
would have.
like
Yeah.
if she thought it was funny, she was like, "Fucking say it."
Yeah.
So with
Fucking say it.
Skillet, we're sitting at the bar, and he's like, "All right, don't ever say that again."
You said it again.
I mean, come on, I'm drunk. I'm looking for a fight. Yeah, he's 6'7". This dude had biceps bigger than my head, and I'm like, "Yeah, well, I might have your mom." And he goes, "All right, you son of a bitch, go outside." In that tone,
You're like, "You
in
son
that
of a
tone,
bitch,
and I'm
in."
like, "Oh yeah, yeah, this shit is on." Right then, I should have thought, he didn't even get worked up or really
Yeah.
upset. I probably should just shut up. No, I went outside and I squared off with the door. And I'm not a little guy. And I came from 12 feet away from the hip, and I hit this son of a bitch as hard as I could right between the eyes. And I watched his nose pop like a grape. I'm like, yeah.
He just
And he goes,
Hmm.
I'm going to fuck you up. I was like, I mean, his head went.
run
that was-
away.
That was Nathan and me.
His
Yeah,
head
I'm
come
gonna
back.
fuck you up.
His head come back, and it come forward, and he looked right at me. He said, I'm going to hurt you. And I was like, oh. So I hit him about 6 more times. I know I did. I just jackhammered on him. And I got some big old paws. I hit him. Nothing. And he hit me like 3 times, and I'm on the gravel in the parking lot. And I'm
Praying.
like, I got to get up.
Yeah.
And I'm looking.
But which way's up?
I didn't know. And I'm looking at gravel, and I got my hands underneath me. And as my head come back, all I seen was a boot.
Oh.
This sumbitch was wearing lace-ups, ropers back in the day. And I seen it coming. I don't remember shit.
Yep.
Until he lived in a 2-story house right across from Miller's Feed
Mhm.
that they turned into 2 apartments. The upstairs was one apartment, downstairs was the other. I wake up on this sumbitch's couch. And my eyebrows and my cheeks are best friends. Like nothing. And I wake up and this big bastard's got a bag of frozen peas on my face. I
He
said,
beat the
wow.
fuck out of you and is nursing you back to
He
hell.
brought me home.
Yeah, I believe it.
I mean, that good old boy just fucking.
Now he's like, damn it,
country
I
boy,
whooped his ass.
and he
Now I
goes-
gotta take him home.
He goes, I told you to shut up. And all I could
Next
do was
time,
hear him.
listen.
And I'm like, yeah. He said, God, you got so drunk and so mouthy. I said, what did I say? He goes, let's don't talk about it. He goes, but you probably ought to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, I can't even find it. I couldn't find a coffee table. So he grabs me underneath the arm, and this big sumbitch walks me down the hall, walks me in the bathroom, and I go in and I put my hands on the sink, and it was one of them old sinks that had the pedestal and it was mounted to the wall.
Mhm.
And as soon as I put my hands on it, he goes, all right, I'll be in the living room. I said, okay. He said, just come back same way you got here. I was like, all right. And dude, I can remember peeling my eye open with my hand, and you could see the lace marks of that big bastard's boot on my face, like bruised lines. And I had this X mark, and I thought, wow, you bit off way more than you could chew this time. And all I'm trying to say is anybody that ever says they haven't had their ass beaten ain't never been in a fight. That some bitch beat me up.
Yeah, that night, I remember that, and then the last thing I remember was I was on the ground. Granted, that
On
fucking
the ground.
no,
That's
so-
the
so-
way the best
I know where
conversation
you're
fucking
going.
start.
cabin had a fucking deck on it, like
Yeah, you
like,
stepped off of it. You told me.
No, he fucking he
Shoved
tackled
you?
me off of it.
No.
It was
I did
that's
not.
fucking what it felt like.
No, he
And-
started. Dad was trying to.
He just kind of helped you.
Oh, I looked at my dad because my dad was trying to. My dad was terrified because he's never like.
Before we go any further, before that, like when that was happening, I didn't know a lot of the truth at the
Yeah.
time.
Right.
So I still
Right. You didn't know what was going on.
Well,
my
You were going off of
father.
what
Well,
you were
we-
told.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we uncovered a lot after my
Yeah.
mom's passing,
Yeah.
and it opened up a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
doors.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and-
we've had that
Yeah.
Yeah.
talk several
So,
times.
It's like, yeah, that conversation after that whole thing
Yeah.
happened was so enlightening for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
But no, my dad was
take
my
another
dad
one.
was just trying to
I
help.
figured.
My dad was just trying to help. Like he's just trying to get
Right.
it done. And I stood up. I looked at my dad and I was like, I'm not trying to be an asshole. I said, but you need to get in your fucking truck and you need to drive away from here. I don't care where you go.
You need to leave.
You need to leave.
Just don't be here.
And he's like, seriously? And I was like, you are making this worse. So much worse and you don't even know it.
Right.
Get out of
not
here.
meaning to, but
Get out of here and I can get this over with.
let me
he-
get this settled.
He gets in his truck and he shuts the door and Cody looks at him and he goes, "Yeah, drive away, you fucking pussy!" And Dad
Oh.
hits the
It
brakes.
somehow turned to my dad.
Dad hits
like-
the brakes on his truck and Cody walks up and just right on his bedside. If you ever look at the right side of the bedside on my
Oh,
dad's,
I've seen it when he drove it to work.
FX
He showed me.
Stores, yeah, there's fucking 3 dents in it.
Yep.
I couldn't get to him fast enough. He had 3 hits on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I grabbed him around the back, and Cody's like, "No, he's a fucking," and I just whoop, I mean, right over, threw him on the fucking ground, and Cody's like,
And that's when he dislocated my knee.
and I'm standing, I'm got him wrapped in like a full Nelson, and I'm standing there like this, and he's like,
Stop.
I mean, he's fucking squirming all around, and I'm like, Cody, I'm not fucking letting go. And he's like, give me the fucking. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I can't move.
Well, I fucking knew I
I
was
can't breathe.
stuck,
I'm
Cody.
done. And I'm like, are you sure you're done? By that time, Dad done drove off. And I'm like,
And see, this is how we couples therapy
Yeah.
in Southeast Kansas. Love it.
and I'm like,
Love it.
are you sure you're done? Because if I let you up, I'll do this again. And he's like, yeah, I'm done. And he was done. Ashley pulled up. I got him in the car. He left. I see him the next morning, and he goes, I don't remember what the fuck happened last night.
But it was bad,
I
I
can't move
think.
this hand, and I can't walk on this
So
fucking knee.
His
Yeah, I know.
hand was stuck shut and was fucking huge. And my fucking knee, when I woke up,
Aren't those wonderful?
so when I woke up, my left knee, I was like, babe. She's like, what? And I was like, you're gonna have to fix this. She's like, and she goes, what? And she pulled the blanket up, and my kneecap was on the side.
Oh, that hurts.
And I said, you're gonna have to put it back. And
That's
she
probably
goes,
the only time in my life I've ever had to forcefully remove him from a situation. I usually can get him away, but it was too late.
If he'd have been the one pushing me, I wouldn't have hit nobody.
It's so good we're not related.
Because we'd have fought a lot.
No, I would have been an instigator.
Oh,
Get him. Get him.
But
Because I was that
she-
guy. I was the same
he
guy,
put my knee back.
only in a 250-pound frame.
Yeah.
I was like, get him. Let's
She
go.
put my knee back, and then I ended up driving home. And I remember I got home, and I sobered up, and I texted Lucas, and I said, "Hey,
He had
I
no
just
idea.
want you to know."
So I'm sorry.
We kept him completely
didn't know
out
what
of
was
it.
So
going
I
on
had
said,
no
"Hey,
idea.
I just want
They
to
were
let
in
you
the
know."
honeymoon suite. Him
Uh-huh.
and his wife were they were fucking banging it out when all this happened.
So I said, "Hey, I want you to know I'm sorry for what happened. I feel bad because when I got around to it and Ashley started talking,
You're like, oh my
and I
God,
was
what
like,
did I
fuck,
do?
I feel terrible. I'm sorry. Like I made an ass of myself."
Right.
And according to Lucas, he was like, "That wasn't even the fucking highlight of it.
Yeah.
It just got worse."
Really.
And I was like, "Oh fuck." And I guess it just kept escalating
Yeah.
from there on out. Like
yeah,
it just got
it
worse.
went from 0 to 100 in like 30 minutes.
See, we did that one night. I mean, I take pride in the fact that I can handle a lot of alcohol and not black out.
Yeah.
But I did that shit one night, and I get up the next morning, and I'm like, wow, my hands hurt. We had a bad time last night, didn't we? And they're like, you're freaking psycho. And I'm like, I'm a psycho? What did I do? And they're like, holy shit, you lost your mind on everybody. And I'm like, really? And then it hit me, and I'm like, hey, my head hurts. So this dude squares off with me. I was just trying to get everybody to leave.
Yeah.
Because it was New Year's Eve at Fulton Bar. Everybody knew everybody. Everything was great.
Right.
And you had
Anything at Fulton Bar. Can't
Oh,
turn out
no.
good.
so it was great because everybody knew everybody. There's never a fight, no big deal. But we had a gal show up.
And then there was this guy.
Yeah, we had a gal show up, and she was with her husband and her ex-husband.
Oh,
Mm.
Like,
how would that
who
ever
does
work out?
that?
Yeah.
So she's got her ex-husband with her and her current husband, and they kept getting in this argument. And they're like, you need to go get that straightened out, because they're arguing right at the end of pool tables. And I walk over there. Well, I finally figure out that they're arguing over the kids. The new stepdad is telling the dad he's gonna beat the kids' ass. And the
No.
dad's going, you touch my kids, I'll kill you.
Yeah.
Well, the stepdad goes in the bathroom and the dad follows him. And I'm like, all right, we got to quit this. We've had a great night. It's like coming up on New Year's Eve, coming up on time for everybody to toast. And these two are in the bathroom and nose to nose. So I drag the stepdad out. We get almost to the front door. And I'm like, look, here's the deal. Everybody in here knows everybody. We're having a great night. You guys are screwing it up. I said, you get your old lady or your ex-old lady or whoever she is, and the three of you need to leave. And he steps back with his right foot. I thought, oh,
You know what that means.
Yeah.
you gonna swing on me, are you
Yeah.
really? And
Yeah.
I wasn't even drunk. I was like, oh, go ahead. And I saw it coming, dude, from like the back of his knee,
Yeah.
slow motion. And I ducked it, and I was too close to hit him.
Oh,
And as I leaned back, I was like, oh, I got this. I just put my chin on my chest, and I literally felt my forehead hit the back of his skull. And I'm like, yeah. Grabbed him in a headlock, and to the floor we went. I headbutted this dude's face off.
Yeah.
We're on the floor, and I'm like, why can't I move? Well, the owners of the bar at the time, I got this dude in a headlock on my left side, and he's got my right arm trying to drag me out of this pile. And I'm like, let go. And I'm looking at this dude eye to eye. I got him. He ain't going nowhere. Leg lock on him. He's looking me in the face, but I can't hit him because they got my arm. And I'm like, all right, fine. And I just start head banging. And I'm headbutting this dude, not squared up. I literally swelled this whole eye. Yeah, swelled this whole eye closed, just headbutting him. And all of a sudden I start going. And I'm like, what the hell? And I look up, God rest his soul, probably the sweetest man on the planet other than my dad, Delbert Cannon, who is not with us anymore, is sitting on my hips, punching me in the ribs. And I look up and I go, Delbert, wrong guy. And he goes, oh shit, Michael, sorry. And he starts punching this dude. So, mind you, it was like a big deal. We'd do New Year's Eve. We'd all go home. We'd all sober up. And then you got to do, I rode a motorcycle for 20 years. You got to ride your motorcycle on January 1st. Because whatever you do January 1st, you're going to do majority of the year. So we get up. It's 32 degrees. Big Tom shows up.
So I need to start
Jason
hanging out with my kids.
Jason McReynolds. God, who else was with us? I don't know. There's 4 or 5 of us. They show up here. It's 32 degrees. And that's because the sun's up, because it was cold.
Yeah.
We all jump on the bikes and we ride to Fulton. We get down to the bar. We walk in. It's like 10:30 in the morning. We're all hungover as hell. First beer of the year. They put it up on the bar, and we start drinking on it, and in walks Delbert. Head down, and he comes over, and he sits down next to me, and he goes, hey, kid. I said, well, how are you this morning? He goes, a little hungover. He said, I need to apologize. I said, for what? I knew exactly what he was talking about, but I was like, for what? And he goes, here, I got a little out of hand last night, and I was hitting you. And I said, well, if it's any consolation, it didn't hurt. And he goes, it's not. It was supposed to hurt. He's like, it didn't? I was like, no. And he goes, well, son of a bitch. I was drunk. I'm like, yeah, you were. I said, you were hitting me instead of the other guy. And he goes, well, did I do a good job? I was like,
the only time I can remember, like how you talked about getting kicked in the face, that I remember ever being knocked out was we were at Sharky's one night, and I was wearing a T-shirt. Is when I wore those American Fighter T-shirts.
I've heard this. I love it.
And there was a guy in there that
wrong guy.
There was another dude that was wearing the same shirt.
Mhm.
Well,
damn.
his wife was boning that dude, and he thought it was
came in.
me.
AKA having
He came
the
in
sex.
and found the guy in the American Fighter shirt.
I was there
Yep.
with Kevin and all them. We were having fun, just drinking, having fun. And some shit kind of started, and
You would have
Dave
been
was
with
always
Kevin,
like,
Denver, and Query.
no, at the time, Kevin and Denver weren't talking.
Oh, okay.
So it was Kevin, Query, me. It was Wyatt, that Wyatt kid we was hanging with,
Yeah.
that bought the same dog like Kate.
Yeah.
And so some shit kind of happened, and when it came to Kevin and Dave, they had a good relationship.
Right.
So Dave's like, hey, Kevin, take that shit outside. You just go outside.
Yeah.
So we were going out the front door. Well, that guy's buddies had started some shit to get us outside.
And you got it.
And I went out first. And I opened the fucking door. It was the old door at Sharky's. I opened that bitch up and walked out.
Boom.
And
Sucking
I
air out of your
remember
ear
fucking-
and don't even
I
know
remember
why.
waking up, like,
Where the fuck am I at?
looking around, and I'm on the ground.
What
and I
happened?
see everybody is fucking going crazy. Kevin's got this dude over here. Preston
Beating the
Siebel's beating
fucking
the fuck
lights
out
out
of a
of him,
dude.
I'm
I don't even know
sure.
where Preston came from.
Yeah.
Beating the fuck out of a dude. Well,
That
then
dude's a
Brad
ninja.
Woody had a dude in a fucking headlock so goddamn tight his eyes were fucking bulging.
Oh boy.
And
Good times.
Preston ran over and was like, Brad, you got to quit. Well, Brad was ex-military, just like Kevin.
We are
so
name dropping like a mofo tonight.
they
I
don't
love it.
know how to quit.
No.
I mean, like, they're just trained to not quit. So Preston has to pry Brad off. And I'm just like, you know, you get knocked out, you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
I mean,
What happened?
It's worse than waking up from a hangover.
Oh, it's so
I mean,
bad.
you can't think your balance is off. And then I remember Jared goes under my arm and grabs me and goes, we got to fucking go. So I get in the back of that black Lincoln he had.
Yeah.
And I remember we woke up the next day. I had woke up at Kevin's house, and I woke up and I was like, fuck's going on? I had blood everywhere. I go to get in Jared's car. He's gonna take me home. There was blood all over the inside. It was like a murder scene. And I was like, what happened last night? And Jared goes, you got knocked the fuck out. And I was like, no, I figured that out. I have a massive headache. I
Yeah.
didn't even get that drunk.
I know it.
And so then we went back to because that was on a Friday night. We went back to the bar. Who you calling?
No, you're good.
Oh,
It was a Snapchat.
we went back to the bar the next weekend. Well, that guy come in. Him and his group of guys come in, and he walked up to me and he was like, "Hey," he's like, "I want you to know something." And I was like, "Who the fuck are you?" He was like, "Well, I'm the guy that hit you."
And I'm sorry.
And he was like, "I'm apologizing because you were the wrong guy."
God
Oh,
damn it.
And I was like, "What?"
He's like,
And,
"That's
and
the
he was
last
like,
time I ever wore
and
an
then he
American
explained what was
shirt."
going on. He was like, "My lady was cheating on me with this other guy, and you guys are wearing the same shirt." And I
Don't
got
wear an American
confused.
Fighter shirt
And,
ever
and he's
again.
like, "I want you to know I'm sorry." And Kevin looks at me and goes, "So all that was for nothing?" And the guy goes, "No, you guys beat the shit out of us." But he was like, "You were the wrong guy." And I was like, "Oh." And
You
he
just got knocked the fuck
and
out.
he was like, "So what would you like to
Ooh.
drink? Because drinks are on me tonight." And I'm like, "Motherfucker, I hope you got a deep pocket
Yeah.
because we're gonna get drunk tonight." So yeah.
Vegas bombs
But
for everybody.
Honestly,
No,
I
and
can
this
say
motherfucker-
my fighting
Era.
background started because of my mom and that motherfucker right there.
I can't imagine your mama having anything to do
And
with
it was because of the people that used to live across from us
Yeah.
in Stark.
Oh yeah.
That was why.
I didn't do anything.
Your mama had
No,
Your-
you didn't.
your
You were just
mama
having
had-
fun playing, but apparently you were a better football player than his brother. And
your mama
bigger
had no
kid
quit
didn't
in
like it.
her. I miss
and
her.
I remember you came home and you were crying because the kid had like pushed you down and was fucking mean to you. And Jeff was in the shop.
I don't remember
And
any of this.
You ran right by Jeff. You ran straight to the house. And my mom, I was probably 8th grade.
Remember fighting Jeff?
No. Yes.
How'd
twice-
that work out for you?
Oh, we'll get back to that.
Yeah.
Got my ass kicked.
Not real
Um,
good, huh?
And
That old farm boy strength is some shit, ain't it?
and
Mm-hmm.
my mom looked at me and she goes, because Jeff come inside because you were crying, and which you were like, well, 3rd, 4th grade.
I don't remember.
I mean,
any of
he was
this.
like young, and he said, "This kid's bullying me. He hit me, yada yada yada." And she looked at me and she said, "You need to go take care of that." And she looked at Jeff and goes, "Now you need to go help take care of that." So we walked out to the shop. It's in between the house across the
Mhm.
street, and Jeff walks out to the shop and goes, "You're gonna go over there, and you're gonna handle that."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Okay." And I walked over there and I was like, "Now what am I handling?"
Yeah.
And Jeff goes, "You're gonna go whoop that kid's ass."
Did
because
you
he-
handle it?
He beat you. Yeah, oh yeah. I didn't know what I was doing. I don't think it was pretty. I think I was just fucking winging fucking hands. But I mean, I got it done because at the end of the day, his parents came to our house and fucking had to have a talk with our parents because their son just got his ass whooped. And ever since then, it was just instinct to me. Like, you ever fuck with any of mine, I'm gonna fuck
You mess
you
with my
up.
brother, I'm hurting somebody.
But if you're I'm curious to know which time you're fucking talking about with me and Jeff.
Oh, wow. I can remember,
There was
Two
one time
times.
I remember in the doorway from the living room to the dining room.
and he
He
threw you
had-
into the wall.
He had
You
what happened was
He
is him and my
created a
mom-
wall. Is that what you
Threw
said?
him into the wall.
So what happened
Oh.
was is him and my mom had got into it, and they didn't get into it. They were wrestling around because my mom had said something like, "Oh, if you think you're fucking big enough, come at me." Well, they went to wrestling around,
And you thought you were He-Man.
and I walked
Hang on.
out, and he said something to her, and I said, "Don't ever fucking talk to my mom that way again," because it's my mom.
Right.
And he got up, and he was like, "Oh, you think you're fucking man enough?" Well, I fucking just shoved his ass
Now,
in the
this is
doorway.
prime Cody, like middle high school,
Mm-hmm.
tougher than everybody, ready to fight
Yeah.
anybody.
Football
like-
fucking player, I'll whoop your
Yeah.
fucking
Look,
ass.
it's bigger than yours.
And
Yeah.
he
Even if
fucking,
it's
I
not.
shoved his ass. He didn't move.
Yeah.
And he
Uh-oh.
went wham.
Yep.
And I went,
Yeah.
sorry, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck.
You can say it, I can say it.
Yeah.
Mm.
I
But I'm
fucking
gonna
was
say it
just like,
really quiet.
I knew I
Mm.
fucked up. Like
Yeah.
I
But
that
then you
moment,
did
he
it
was-
again.
Huh?
I don't understand why you did it. Like you cold cocked that man once, like
Mhm.
right across the face.
And he
and-
took- I mean,
and-
just
and
just
Jeff
like the
fucking-
guy you typed, just
Yeah.
Just like I said, like the Nathan Hauser deal. He stepped back, loaded that motherfucking gun, and let her go.
Let her eat.
And Jeff
And it
went.
didn't turn out good.
But you'd
That's
be
the one
surprised, like,
and only time you're gonna hit me like that.
Mhm.
Next time I'll show you how it's done.
but you'd be
Mhm.
surprised. Like I talked to Nathan because we had Kenny's birthday party.
Mhm.
And I walked up to Nathan and Brock, but I walked up to Brock first. I was like, "Hey, no hard feelings. I was shit faced. You know, I've known you for a long fucking time. I don't want there to be any hard feelings. And Brock's like, no, you knocked the shit out of me. Like, understandable. Then I walked up to Nathan and I was like, hey, no hard feelings. And he was like, dude, no. He was like, I respect the shit out of you. He's like, you took care of yours. I was protecting mine. We're the same. That's what we do.
I just want to
And-
throw it out there. Out of all them boys, my favorite is Hayes.
Really?
Oh, yeah, you know why?
Really?
You know why?
My favorite's probably Nathan.
He looks just like John C. Riley.
Okay. Well,
And
That's-
I'm welding at Twister.
he's probably the most odd one out of all of
I know,
them.
I freaking love him. Like odd
I
duck.
would say I
I'm
would say-
literally welding at Twister underneath a trailer frame, and I look through. I just quit. I just let off on the trigger, and I look through, and I'm like, that looks like John C. Riley. So naturally, I'm like, fuck you, Dale. He was doing a tour because he was getting hired, and he looks at me, and he just kept walking. Well, he comes back by, and he's with our HR at the time, and I was like, fuck you, Dale. And he kept walking. I'm like, this sumbitch don't even realize who he looks like. So he comes back in. I'm like, did you put your nutsack on my drum set? And he goes, you can call me Dragon. From then on, I was like, Cops comes on at 4:30, and he's like, yeah. So it was fuck you, Dale. From then on,
Yeah.
I like that kid. He may not be the best one in the family. He may not be the funniest
like,
one in the family.
I
But
never,
me and him like had so much fun working together because
I never seen eye to eye with Brock because he reminded me of Lucas, and it was always, I have money, I do what I want, I have no fucking responsibility. Fuck you, fuck the world.
and
Fuck
with Hayes, I was just like,
and with
you call me
Nathan,
Dragon.
it was always like he was more down to earth.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Yeah.
he worked
Nathan's
his ass
always
off
been
because
so
like
cool,
I
calm,
did construction work,
collected.
I did
Now
bricklaying
is
and
Nathan
shit.
the oldest?
Yeah,
I
And-
did that tattoo on his arm, the big whatever it is, the big initials.
hey, if you watch
All
the
black?
next, if you watch the next part of the video coming out tomorrow, you agree to do a tattoo on my hands
I do.
because your daughter texted you
Oh, okay.
in the middle of the
Yeah,
episode.
I already ordered it. I ordered the stuff because I didn't. So the problem is all my machines are old.
Yeah.
And you got to have the full blown needles.
Just buy the battery powered ones now.
But that's it. So you got to have the full blown needles because I've got $2,000 machines.
Mhm.
But now you can get the rotary machines and you just snap the tip
And they're
on
quiet.
and it's a new tip
Have you heard
Yeah.
them?
and a new needle. No,
They're so quiet.
you don't need the foot pedal. Like I literally could run the foot pedal with my big toe.
Yeah.
I learned how to tattoo without shoes on. So I'd run the pedal with my big toe. I don't even need a pedal. You literally just
Speed on your
Yeah.
turn it on. I set my amps. Let
But
her
like
go.
when it comes to Nathan,
What are we doing on your hand?
I seen eye to eye with him, and then after like when I apologized at Sharky's,
I went to school with Chase.
Yeah.
Chase was like,
And-
Yeah.
I went to school.
He's a good kid too.
Oh, yeah.
Chase,
They're
is-
all good boys.
he's
But I
the
used to
funny
ride
one.
four
Chase-
wheelers
Chase
with
went
their dad.
Wild though.
Oh,
Chase was wild.
you gotta have that.
Oh
And
yeah.
I
At
rode-
Lucas's wedding.
Like no, like,
I-
he went.
I
he
told
went
Chase to
fucking-
leave.
Went out to California, to Hawaii. Lived
Their
for a
dad had a
while, and-
DS650
Oh, yeah, they still have
back
it.
in the day
They
with the
used to still have
Bombardier
it.
with the little fenders
Yeah,
on the front end.
Brock just sold it.
So when their
Okay.
dad had that, that's how long I've known those boys. They were little bitty. And we go out to Big Tom's and ride trails and shit. And he'd bring that big DS650. And I was like,
Like fucking yellow bastard.
yeah, black and yellow. It was so
Yeah.
cool.
They were
I
such
remember,
pieces of shit, though.
What, those boys?
Yo, no. Wow, whoa.
Oh, I was like, wait a
no,
minute.
the four wheeler.
Yeah.
The
four-wheeler.
Bombardier. Yeah.
The
like-
four-wheeler. Yeah, but it literally lasted for so many years.
Yeah, but you couldn't work on them.
Didn't have to.
Yeah.
Like, even though it ran like shit, it still ran.
Yep.
I mean, it was gutless, and we took it to wine. It rode on the back of a 20-foot dovetailed flatbed trailer.
I don't want to hear about loading trailers.
You're
so,
talking
okay.
about having those piggyback.
Okay, I
We
got
had-
a story about that.
We had 9 four-wheelers on a 20-foot dovetail trailer, piggybacked like you had them in them Ranger, and then one up on the gooseneck on that flat top.
I gotta find it.
We picked a
I
250R up.
went to Thayer.
Yeah.
We
But-
picked a 250R up
You
and put
remember
it on
when-
top of
than
the
that.
fifth wheel.
So whenever the first time Jeff took me to the sand
When we
dunes,
took that Banshee down
Where
there.
to?
And
Winoka?
I took
Yeah.
my Banshee,
Oh,
and So we had
You know what's good about them two strokes?
nothing.
Not a damn thing. And if you take them to the sand, they're gonna break down
Hold on.
every time.
So we had my Banshee, Jason Fogelman's Banshee. We had Pope's 400. I don't think 450s were at the time.
Nope.
We had like 3 or 4 400EXs on the front of that trailer,
Mm.
and then we had 3 sand rails. Well, one of the
can
sand
we
rails.
clear something up right now before we talk any further?
Mhm.
In your mind, best four-wheeler ever built. And I'm gonna say
we going
longevity, performance. Probably not the fastest four-wheeler on the planet.
KFX 750 Brute Force.
That's a tough. That's a good.
Mm.
That's a good. Contender.
Okay, let me rephrase that.
Because my
But it's
father
gotta-
had that
it's gotta
one.
be-
Sport four-wheeler.
Okay.
That
It's got to be
everybody
post
had
2010 if you're going to brute
bulletproof.
force.
Like if you could just go buy one right now. I tell my youngest this all the
KFX
time.
450R.
No, before
was-
that.
Because
didn't
I
even
was
exist.
I was a Honda guy forever, and once I bought that 450R, that KFX, and it was just everything I wanted.
Before the 450R though.
Because it was
Best
like
four-wheeler
middle of
ever.
January. I started that bitch out
ever
in Bel Air,
made.
Kidding? If you say 660 Raptor, get
No,
the fuck out.
no, I had a Raptor. I
Honestly,
loved it.
Honda 400EX at
The
the time
best-
was the
Thank you,
prime.
Jesus. Help
Because
me, Tom
no,
Cruise.
that was-
Misses are
so-
after me.
No, you both are forgetting
The
the
400EX.
goat
If
of
you
all
fucking tell
four
me
wheelers.
You
Lucas
say a
says
250R?
No,
Okay.
Or
I'm going
Hogan's
I'm
300EX.
Quadzilla?
going a pre 1995 Honda 250X.
Is that the red one Jeff had?
No,
Yeah, but they were
No.
gutless.
yeah, they were. good.
But you
But
take
listen, you could do anything. You could roll
really
them down
could.
a fucking cliff,
it was almost like a 300.
flip it over on
Yeah.
on the wheels,
and it'd start right
and
up.
My
start
fucking
right
thing
up.
popped
You
off.
got you've got reverse, got-
It's crazy
you could
because
do
you're not
anything.
wrong. But
Yeah.
in my mind,
and you could have some. Lucas, remember that black one that Lucas had? That it was that real short time. It was like a 2008 250X. Now that was whenever they had all the fancy
that
stuff.
black one?
Yeah,
yeah.
that
Do you
that
know how we got that?
yeah, I do, and it was real sketchy.
So my dad and Billy
He's
had
like,
went
we don't
and-
know who owned it,
So my dad and Billy had
It's
found
a whole
it.
nother phase of life.
right?
And the guy said that he had it out poked or parked in the yard for sale because the repo company at any given time was coming to get it.
And if you beat them to the
And if you
four-wheeler-
if you beat them to it, you could buy it. So my dad walked out there with $500 in cash that I'll buy it right now. And the
Take it.
guy sold it to him. Reported as fucking stolen.
The guy did.
Yep.
and Dad bought it. Used to be red. When Dad got it, it was
And
red.
so he bought black
He
plastic.
bought all black plastics for it,
See, all I can think though when I think
Figured it out.
that's awesome.
and
That is
it's
so awesome.
It's been gone for a year. I mean, he only had it for like 6 months.
Yeah.
We only
And then
had
we
this
went
for
from
like
that
6
to
months.
a
Went
300.
to a red 300EX that was mine.
Yeah.
And again, a 300EX is a solid contender in
It
this
is.
argument because they're not fast.
But
They're
you
fast
can't
enough.
kill them.
They've got reverse.
They do.
That
They're-
fucking red
they're-
little handle. You
Oh
fucking
Yep,
yeah,
yep.
you got to push the button.
The
pull
problem with
clutch,
the
pull handle
400EX
up.
is it didn't have the reverse,
It didn't have reverse.
and it had that subframe. So if
Yeah.
you bent the grab bar, you
Yeah.
bent the whole damn back end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now they make a bolt on.
I know.
Now they make you
I
cut the
know.
fucking grab bar off
They don't
and
even
you
make
slide them into
anymore.
the frames.
No,
They don't
yes they
make 'em
do.
anymore.
Yes they do.
The 400s
They
or
don't.
the grab
A
bar.
400EX,
No,
yeah.
they don't
There
make
is
it
not a
They
20
don't?
No,
Oh, no.
they stopped in like
They don't even make the
2019.
450Rs anymore.
No,
Really?
it's all
When
side by side.
when Honda sells out of 450Rs, that's it.
They're done.
Well, I'm telling you right now, as I live and breathe.
I hated my 450.
Yeah, I told my 14-year-old, I'm like, he said, okay, if you could buy any four-wheeler,
Now I don't blame you.
What
for
would
the
it be?
400EX.
and I go,
DX.
and
Because-
he stops me and he goes, a Raptor, right? I'm like, no,
Fuck no.
I had a Raptor. I love my Raptor. It was bulletproof. I had,
Was not bulletproof.
oh
what
yeah,
was
it was.
a
I had it.
660 or a 700?
I had a 660. It was carbureted.
I did
it had-
too, and they
it had-
always quit running.
Oh no, I had DMC
They
Alien
were a bitch
exhaust.
to work on because
I had true duals.
They were a bitch. to
DMC
see.
Alien exhaust.
I don't want to hear it.
The
I
carburetor rejetted.
Afro engineered an old 450R can off of yours.
See, that there's a problem. He Afro engineered it. I bought literally if Rocky Mountain ATV
Oh
made
my God! Yes.
made
That
the
was
parts.
fucking
Tell me
prime
it was not. If they made the
You-
parts for
You
it,
had to
You
order it
know
out of
what?
the
I bought a
catalog.
magazine.
I had AC Pro Peg Nerf bars. I had +2, +1 A
I was
arms.
Pro Armor all the way.
I had +2,
Oh, yeah, 'cause it's
+1
Honda.
Lone Star A
Pro
arms.
Armor was Honda's AC.
At a +4 Lone Star rear axle.
So he couldn't roll it if he wanted to.
No.
Because it
I
was
had
still wide.
Elka triple rate shocks all the way around. I had tag metal handlebars.
You know what he's doing? He's screaming spoiled rich kid.
Yes, no, he's screaming
But he
broke
wasn't a
ass.
rich kid. He had to work
He's
for it.
I
screaming
don't care.
broke ass dad with a kid at the time because my
'cause you-
22-year-old.
Everything you're listing is the most expensive out of
I
all
did.
of it.
I did, and I didn't have a life other than that 4-wheeler.
Yeah.
Like I was a dad. I had a baby, a mortgage,
And a full
truck payment, and all that shit, but I had a 4-wheeler.
Yeah.
And I bought everything. I would literally get online back when we had dial-up. I'm not even gonna lie. I'd sit there and go, Ching, boom, wait for it to come up, get on Rocky Mountain ATV, and I would research what was the best exhaust to put on a 660 Raptor.
Fucking
The
duel.
absolute best was DMC Aliens. It was a true dual, and it come back in the middle, right underneath the grab bar, and had 2 pipes out. I did a full system on it. I had PRM. Do you remember them? They had the 6-pack rack, grab bar. I had a PRM front bumper.
Those were hideous.
I literally
horrible.
can't even make this up. I had
Those are made for alcoholics.
I had a 16. Yeah, they are. I had a $16,000 Raptor.
Oh, I believe it.
Oh,
In the
guaranteed.
bullshit that I put on it.
Yeah.
And that was on top of the Yamaha card that I bought it on, which God only knows what I ended up paying for it because I was paying those payments and they were charging me like 27% interest. Dude, I took that bitch to Winoka and I backed it off the trailer and this guy goes, somebody's got some money.
Yeah.
And all I
Told
could
you.
think was, no, somebody is broker than a joke. But my shit looks good, it smells good, and it runs really fucking good. And we get out on the drag strip during Sandfest
If
weekend.
it smells good, he was running purple.
Yes, he was.
Fucking,
Yes, he
what's it
was.
called?
It was made by Bean Oil. It was
What's it called?
I remember.
Grape aid.
So
Grape
you
aid.
remember?
Grape
Grape
aid
aid.
fuel additive.
I was. And so
You
I
should
pulled
buy it
out
from Steve. He had a
Well,
whole plethora of it
yes.
on the wall.
Yep.
Brown
pulled
bag.
out on the drag strip at like 9:00 at night, and I've got PRM. I had a PRM
Pause.
handlebar clamp, and it had the 2 Baja lights on it.
You had
little-
the fucking.
Yeah.
You had the fucking.
Heat highlighter.
Solid aluminum highlight headlights. Plus, you had the big eyeball lights underneath the fender.
That were hideous.
Oh, they were, but I fucking loved it. It was so cool. I had
I hate
Troy
Raptors. I hated
Lee
Raptors when I had one.
Yeah.
I hate one now, even though
Troy
he's
Lee
describing it.
design graphics on the whole son of a bitch. Like I pimped out from head to toe, and I pull out on the drag strip, and this guy goes, "That thing's badass." I was
And
like,
you're like, fuck out.
"Oh yeah, no." So you could literally see my head swelling. I'm like, "Yeah, it is." And he starts his shit up, and I'm like,
That thing's
Oh.
badass.
"Oh, this is a problem."
boy.
No, it was an '87 Quadzilla
Oh fuck.
You remember that one that
with a
Cody had?
fucking
That Cody
Hayabusa
Cunningham built?
with a Hayabusa motor. He had-
Was that the one you
we
bought from
saw it
Delaney?
We saw it in the
Sold to
daylight.
Shuma when he-
It was the most trailer park thing you've ever seen in your whole life. He literally
You remember what
extended the
Jeff had?
frame to make the.
that LT250R.
He literally extended the
Or-
frame to make the crotch rocket motor fit in it with square tubing.
But they never worked.
No, and the plastic wouldn't meet up like
But-
the side
but
plastic.
I mean, like the when
Oh, this
people
thing
put
worked.
crotch rocket motors in them, you almost always just blew the tires off.
No, this thing worked. Like I was beating Banshees all day. And this dude pulled up next to me, and when he started it up, it sounded like a bumblebee on acid, and I thought, uh-oh.
Man, I'm starting to really believe that this guy never rode with people with fast 4-wheelers.
Uh.
If you're outrunning people with a 660 Raptor,
Call Dustin.
with
Call
bolt-ons?
Dustin Beasley.
with
So
full
I remember
bolt-ons,
the
He had-
Banshee
he
that I
had the-
Dustin
he had the
Beasley
big bore
had
kit.
the badass
He
fucking
did. He had the
Banshee,
big bore
and you were
kit with the
beating
two
Dustin Beasley?
T6s, and I beat him on the sand.
I
Boy,
remember
With
I'd
a
love
set
to
of
see
6
it.
paddle haulers.
I'd
I
love to see it.
remember
To this
whenever-
day, he told my son, my youngest, at wrestling practice, he goes,
He's not this big anymore.
your old man had the fastest 4-stroke I ever raced. I was like, tell him how many times I won.
I
He's like,
remember
we don't want
when
to talk about that. I was like, you're right, we don't.
Dad bought me that Banshee.
But that thing in Bolton
Zach
had,
Marsh's,
It was Zach Marsh's Banshee.
that white
Zach
black-
Marsh's Banshee was mean.
I owned it.
It was mean.
I
Yeah,
owned it.
That was my favorite four-wheeler.
I'll
I
tell
ever
you who
rode.
else's was mean.
We-
Richie Forster had that. He had that. What was it? 03, 04 Banshee with the Toomey T6s on it. That bitch
I
was
remember I
good,
had
too.
it, and Dustin Beasley built that Cheetah Cub one,
Mhm.
and he's like, he said, I've always wanted to
Oh,
be.
fender shaved.
That was how we bought it.
That
was
old
the
girl.
day we
That old
bought it.
girl would
You
get
didn't
it.
tell me that you have a fucking picture.
That was
of
a
it?
black and white one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
That old girl would get it.
that wasn't the actual bike.
You know the problem though?
That was the one that Dad bought after that.
That was after.
Oh,
Yeah.
That was
But it
probably
was-
after
but-
what?
but-
How many rebuild kits?
No, that wasn't the one I bought from Zach. That was
Oh,
one that
okay.
Dad bought. He bought it from.
The one you bought from Zach was red and white, wasn't it?
No, it was black and white.
Was it black and white?
that's
Yeah.
what happened to my 400.
Wait, what'd you do?
Oh. Oh. Sweet Jesus.
Dude, that was minutes after I just finished rebuilding it.
she was
like
burning a little
minutes.
hot.
Minutes.
A little
Oh, yeah.
lean.
So,
Is that a hole in the top of the piston or is that just straight?
so I bought that one from.
That's the
my
connecting-
dad bought that one from
Oh,
Zach.
Wow. She got
And-
hot.
No, it broke the valve off. That's the top of the valve that broke.
Oh my God.
and it played
did.
ping pong with the whole fucking inside until it died.
Oh.
I remember we took it
I
to.
was chasing a 450R down a flat track, and
I took it to the sand dunes,
I was
and
wide open in fifth gear, and it said,
Nope.
skidded the tires.
we took it to the sand dunes, like I was saying about that trip, where they had
Right.
that had the dune buggy hanging off the back with the tires on the ground,
Right.
and
You didn't have the tires hang on. We had to pick the dune buggy up. It had the flip up ramps.
oh yeah, we had to pick it
Yeah.
up.
We had to pick the
And
dune
put
buggy
the
up,
ramps
flip the
up.
ramps
And fold
up.
the ramps up
Yeah.
behind it.
And
And
no, it had the ramps that laid flat, so the trailer extended out completely flat.
Oh, really?
So we had to lift the dune buggy up to where you could flip the ramps completely down, and then you'd set the buggy back down, and
Oh.
the tires would be like this far off the ground.
yeah, it was rough.
It was pretty fucking neat.
And that was when I rode all the way there in the Ford sex court.
Yep.
By the way, that's what they called it, was the sex
The
court.
escort.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we got down there, and I had
What was her name?
I don't know what the guy's name was. That was when I went with what was his name?
I never went to Anoka with you.
No, what was the guy's name that had the big
Pope.
old Pope? His fucking name was Pope, and
name's
his
really not
his
Pope.
his
Not even a
motto
little.
was
I don't know why we called him Pope.
his
but
motto. That's
I'm sure there
that's
was a
that's
reason.
what they always called him.
I know.
His motto was, "I'm gonna have the biggest, baddest shit."
He had a 2008 Harley Davidson edition 6.0 Power Stroke,
Oh, really?
That was
Jacked up
bullet.
with
One of those
bulletproof.
guys.
jacked up with on like jacked up like 8 inches with like 40s.
Small penis, but I got an
before that was the
$80,000
cool-
truck.
Before that was the cool thing to do.
Right.
That's what he had. Like, and he had.
But
this
when I say
450R,
bulletproof, that bitch was bulletproof.
he had this
Really?
450R that was bad to the fucking bone.
Yeah.
And
And-
it was the blue and black special edition, and so it almost matched his truck because the
Yeah.
Harley Davidsons had the
Yeah, I
yellow
remember.
flames.
Yeah.
But
Had
it
the,
was so
instead
tall.
of a pinstripe, it
That
had
was
the blue
08, by the
flames.
way.
It was so tall, huh?
That was 08.
Yeah.
Because
It-
mine was 09. It was the
It
year
was so
after
tall
it was blue
that
and red.
when he would drop the tailgate, he had to like reach for the grab bar like right here, and then he
Yeah.
would just pull it straight off and
Let
drop
her
the
drop.
four-wheeler, and it would on the
Oh,
ground. And you
that
stood
was
it,
the
went
best
down there.
part.
you stood it straight up on the grab bar, and the wheels would barely touch the tailgate.
I
And
pull
he
my
was so big, he just
Raptor out of my truck, and that bad boy would hit the ground, and you hear that.
remember the first time you fucked it up though, and it fell over, like it fell out. I did. Mine was different though
Mine-
because I had that extended cab, or I had that step side bed Ranger,
Right.
and
You
I had
remember
a
my Ranger?
+4. Yeah, well, you beat the fuck out of the
I
fender
had so
wires.
the
Plus
fucking
four rear
fender
axle?
wells on my fucking Ford Ranger were bent in because from riding in
To
and
make
out,
your 4-wheeler fit.
and it would
Yeah.
it just over time just
For
bent
sure.
them in.
I had a
I had to buy smaller
92.
tires.
I had a 92 F250 with a camper shell, and I literally, the guys used to give me so much shit. I'd pull up at Winoka, and they're like, "Where's your trailer?" I'm like, "I didn't pull it." "Where's your 4-wheeler?" I was like, "In the back." "How'd you get it to fit?"
Lay the
"I
handle
let all the
down.
air out of the tires.
Oh,
I pull it in with flat tires, and they're like, "Does it fit?" I'm like, "Yeah, but like this much." I had those big eyeball headlights on the handlebar
Yeah.
clamp, but if you let all the air out of the tires and rolled that bad boy in flat tired, you're good.
yeah. No, I had to lift mine up, and then lift the front tires over the wheel wells on the. It was a step side Ford Ranger, so the bed
Oh
was
my
too
God.
small anyways.
Too small.
And then I'd pick the back of the four-wheeler up and
To
push
shut
it,
the tailgate?
and no, the fucking back tires would sit on the bed rails,
Yeah.
and then I'd shut the tailgate and strap the four-wheeler down.
Durablu,
so it couldn't move.
Durablu big
No,
ass
no, no,
axle.
no, 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 no. Screw on hub spacers.
Oh,
Screw on wheel
I heard you.
spacers.
So when I took my Banshee to
wasn't
the
really-
I
sand
love
dunes,
wheel spacers. I wasn't either. I was poor
when
I was
took
broke.
my Banshee to the sand dunes,
because I was if I wasn't doing nothing, I was going to the dunes and I was throwing my dick right out in the middle of everything. I'm like, look at this. Didn't have nothing, nothing to show for it,
Yeah.
but my shit. Oh, I
so
spent
that
the
Banshee
money.
I had, I don't know what all Zach did to it,
A lot.
but
A
it was
lot.
It was a
It
lot.
It had
I
the
remember,
it
so
had
we
the
went-
power valve kit.
So we
and it had
went
a
to the
coolie head. I know that.
yeah. So we went to the dunes, and Jeff goes, "You need to hang out at the drag ships for a while." And I
Yeah.
was like, "All right, cool." So we hung out there, and I remember I was doing great. I was getting first or second every time.
Right.
And this dude pulls up, and I'll never forget it. He pulls up on this all black, everything was black bike, and it's
Rotax
it's
snowmobile
loud
motor.
as fuck. And I'm like, and then Jeff rides
Yeah.
up to me, and Jeff's like, "Hey,
You
he's
better
like,
set this one
you
out.
need to not race this guy." And I'm like, "No, I'm feeling good." And Jeff goes,
Mhm.
"No."
You're not.
And
That hurt
so
feelings coming to that guy.
yeah.
we fucking went at it. I mean, fuck, 4 or 5 times, and he smoked my ass every time. And I said, "What the fuck is that?"
Rotax.
That was when I was introduced to the Quadzilla version.
Oh,
And he
the
said,
500
and
two-stroke.
he said, "I want you to know I love Banshees." He was like, "They're badass machines."
but they ain't this.
And he said, "But you'll never hold a fucking torch." to
Never.
me."
Never.
A Quadzilla
And I walked
500.
up to Jeff and I said,
Never.
"What do I have to do to get one of those?" And Jeff goes, "Your bike and $5,000."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Really?" And Jeff goes, "That dude's a bad motherfucker."
I mean, honestly, you could have competed
oh, well,
if you bought a
in the
Rotax.
middle of that, race,
The triple threats?
of all the races, I bent my flywheel. Well, it was rubbing my stator, and it was causing it to short out. So I'd
Right.
get to like third, fourth gear,
You spark
and
out.
it'd bu- 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 bu-
Yep.
bu- bu- and then it'd fucking go. And I was like, okay. So then we went back, ended up tearing my bike apart, and Jeff goes, "I'll be back." And I was like, "Where are you going?" He was like, I'm gonna go to the shop." Well, he went to the shop and come back, and I remember Jason Falkman
Sahara
goes,
or to the
Yeah.
Oasis.
Yep.
yeah, and
Yeah.
he was like, and he walks up and sets this fucking box down, and Jason Falkman looks at me and goes, "It's gonna be a long night, kid. Strap in."
How good was that place though?
And I was like, "What do you
Like-
mean strap in?" And granted, we're in the middle of a fucking sandstorm,
Yeah.
basically at the time. It was windy as fuck, and we're tearing apart a two-stroke, which
Yeah.
you as well know. I mean, you guys know as well as I do. You can't get anything inside of there.
No.
They're so fucking finicky as it is. You
I
can't
sat in
take
the
anything
passenger
apart
seat
of
of a 2500 HD with a Q-tip and cleaned out the inside
Yeah.
of the stator
them. So
housing.
we put my bike back together, and Jeff goes, "I want you to go again." So actually, he started it, and it sat there and idled for 30 minutes. And I'm like, "What? I was like,
Tuning the car.
I was like, well, I mean, him and Fogman tuned him, and Jeff's like, "It's broke in." And I was like,
Driver like
"What?"
stole it.
And Jeff goes, "Just fucking let it eat."
Yeah.
And so we went back out there, and I fucking waited for that guy and waited for that guy. He finally showed back up, and I was like, "I want to go again." He's like, "What?" And I was like, "I want to
Oh,
go
one
again."
more shot.
And the guy's like, "All right, fine." So everybody lined up, and they had the
Mhm.
guy out there, and he's fucking
I
waiting.
love it.
And he dropped it, and I fucking shit you not. Before he was beating me by like 3 or 4 bike lengths. When that was
Your
done,
front tires were at his grab bar.
my front tires were at his fucking pegs.
Yeah.
And he was like, "What the fuck did you do?" I said, "I don't know. My stepdad did it."
Yeah.
He did it.
And he was like, "You were this fucking close. You were this close." And he was like, "If you get your shift points down, I bet you beat me."
Dude, I did that. We
I
did
was
that
like
one year.
17.
We went down for Rattlesnake Weekend one year, and we did that, and we literally rebuilt my buddy's Banshee in the extended cab of a 2500 HD Chevy pickup, and his gasket was a 30-pack Bud Light 12-pack box and red silicone.
On both sides.
Yep, red silicone on both sides.
Hell yeah.
We literally we set it on there, and I took a ball peen hammer for 10 minutes and just
on
tapped
the
it.
edges.
Just tapped it on the edges and got the whole outline, cut it out with an X-Acto knife, and they put red silicone on it, put it all back together. And this was Rattlesnake Weekend, so it wasn't as big as Sandfest. The Sandfest, you got these guys that just show up with
Yeah.
$30,000 rigs. And he won. So the next year we go down for Sandfest. I will never forget this till I die. I still have scars on my back from it. So Jason Bartlett, Justin Bartlett, his older brother.
Probably not as bad as Brett does.
So, yeah, right. So
Break your back at sand dunes.
Jason Bartlett, I was close. So Jason Bartlett, we get up that next morning. He's like, hey, it's still dark out. He's like, let's ride our 4-wheelers out and we'll get a picture of the sun coming up off top of Buttercup. I'm like, okay, cool. So we jump on the 4-wheelers. My ex-wife, his wife, we take off across and we cut through all the trails. We come up the backside. We're just coming up the backside of Buttercup and the sun's coming up. Nobody flagging on the top of the dunes or nothing. And I start angling up the side of the backside of that dune. And I literally, all I remember is I looked up and I seen the bottom of a KFX 250 dirt bike. And I'm like, oh shit. And I just ducked my head. I have a scar on the backside of this shoulder from his case saver. And I have 3 going across my back from his paddle tire. This motherfucker ripped me right off of that 4-wheeler. And I'm laying face down in the sand, dislocated this shoulder. First day of Sandfest on Thursday. I'm laying in face down in the sand. Had not even rode at this point other than to ride out to get a picture of the sunrise. And I'm like, God, I'm hurting. God, I'm hurting. God, I'm hurting. And I started feeling liquid under my shirt. I'm like, oh my God, that's blood. I broke out in a cold sweat. I didn't know it. I was like, oh my God. So I grabbed my shirt or I had a Fox Racing jersey on because I was, I was that cool guy.
Oh yeah.
And I went to take it. I went to take it off.
Time.
And when I got about here, I felt everything tear in this shoulder. And I'm like, took my breath away. And I went right back to my knees on the sand. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, I'm dying. I'm dying. And all I can remember hearing, everything was a fog. I remember hearing Jason going, you need to leave or he's going to kill you when he gets up. And it was the dude on the dirt bike, on this 250 Kawasaki dirt bike. And I get up and I'm like, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. And Jason's holding me underneath my chest and he goes, where are you hurting at? I said, everywhere, dude. From the waist up, I hurt. And he's like, you going to be all right? I'm like, I don't know. He goes, can you ride back to camp? And I'm like, I don't know. Because we stayed in the old camp by the Oasis and, the good camp.
That's south, right?
South camp. Everybody else stayed at Cowboy.
The rich people stayed in the north camp.
Yeah, they all stayed at Cowboy camp. So we were all on the south side, and he's like, you think you can make it? And I'm like, yeah, we're good. So we get on there, and you know how you got to... Dude, I took off, I let the clutch out, and I reached over and ran the thumb throttle with my left hand.
Yep.
I couldn't move this arm. And I was good until we got to the whoops going into campground. And every time I hit one, it would take my breath away. And I almost passed out a couple times. So the whole weekend at Sandfest, I sat in camp next to the fire with my arm in a sling that come out of Dustin Beasley's emergency kit. I'm sitting there with this sling on. And this dude pulls up, and I will never forget him till the day I die. He's in a sandrail with a Cadillac North Star V8 on it. And it's called Extreme Foreplay. 4-seater sandrail. And it says it right down the side, Extreme Foreplay. And he pulls up and he goes, what you doing? I said, well, I got hurt the first day and I got landed on by a dirt bike. I said, I think my shoulder's pretty well torched. I said, I'm just hanging out. I'm camp bitch. I'm cooking dinner and, taking care of everybody when they come back. And he goes, so you're going to miss out on all the drag races and everything? And I'm like, I don't really have a choice, dude. He's like, you got a badass 4-wheeler. I was like, yeah, and I can't ride it. He goes, come on, go with me. I'm like, what? He goes, grab a couple beers, put them in a cup holder, and let's go.
Riding on the clouds
I'm like,
and those things.
Yeah, I'm like, okay. I didn't find this out till later down the road. 6 ibuprofen every 4 hours is too much.
Oh yeah.
I give myself almost give myself an ulcer.
You gotta fucking ice. You gotta switch back
Yeah,
and forth.
so
from
I'm eating
ibuprofen to Tylenol.
ibuprofen and just slamming beer. That's all I did. And I get in this dune buggy and he goes, all right, you got to put your seatbelt on. And he's got the 5-point harness. And I struggle and I get it all around. I got my sling outside of it. And I look down and he's got this T-handle coming out of the dash.
Yep.
With motorcycle grips on it.
Rode a fucking sand
And he goes, I said, what's that for? And he goes, that's to hang on. I was like, all right. And I look down and there's a plexiglass square. It's about 14 by 14 inches in both floorboards.
You can see how high you're jumping.
No, so you can see where you're going when you're riding a wheelie.
Oh,
And I'm like, what's
Been
that
there.
for?
Fish
I said, what's that for? And he goes, you'll see in a minute. Dude, we go through them whoops, and I'm like, oh, God. And I'm holding on to that thing, and I'm thinking, God, you got to get out of these humps. We get outside, and we just square off with a drag strip, and he goes, hang on. I said, what? And he dumps the clutch, and that bitch stood up on that. He's got that cage around the motor sticking out the back, and he pegged that bitch in the sand, and I'm looking through that floorboard. I said, oh, my God. Headsets with the little microphone, kind of like the gamers. And he's talking to me, and then he goes, because it was loud. God, it was so loud. And he goes, hang on, this is going to be fun. And he dumps the clutch, and that bitch stood up, and we rode probably a 70-mile-an-hour wheelie past four-wheelers, and I'm like, oh, my God. I spent the whole day with this dude. And I don't know where you live or what you do for a living or where you're from. I have to tell him thank you. That was the most fun I've ever had on any piece of machinery in my whole life.
Fuck,
We went
grew
through
up together our
trails.
whole life.
Yeah.
We went through trails.
They're
This
only-
dude jumped off a competition hill. We were 30 foot in the air. And when we hit, it was like landing on a pillow.
Yep.
Just
It's only a cool sandrail if they've got a motor cover that's got roller skate wheels on it, so they can ride wheelies down the road.
well,
Okay, Jason.
he had torsion bars that stuck out the back.
Jason had literally bought roller skates with the light up wheels
Shut
and unbolted the wheels off of it, and Jeff custom built a engine saver,
with wheels on
and
it.
they could bolt in the roller skate wheels, so when he was riding wheelies down the asphalt,
I bolted
the-
them on.
Oh
the wheels
my
the
God!
wheels were lighting up.
Yeah.
Now,
No
this
shit.
is the, I'm sure Jason still got it hanging in his garage because he
Yeah, it's
last I knew
hanging in
he
his garage right
strapped it
now.
up. This is a one of one
Let's see if I can find
Redline
a picture.
machine custom built
No
sandrail.
lie.
Jeff built every single
So
one
when
of
I
them.
say like I grew up, Jake was younger than me. But, like Jeff was big into it, but Jason, his brother, when he would do it, it was
Jeff wanted everything to work.
Jason
wanted
wanted everything to be fast.
no.
No?
Jason wanted everything to
one
be
of a kind.
different.
Oh, I like
Nobody's
that.
ever gonna have anything Jason ever
I
has.
like that.
And Jason's was different. Jason's everything was different.
I like that.
So Cody grew up with Jason.
We had so
and
much fun down
grew
there.
Up, I grew up with Jeff. That's why I'm the mechanical one, because I was in the shop holding the flashlight,
Right.
getting yelled at.
Yeah.
And you
Hold
were
that
over at
fucker
you were
still.
over at Jason's eating cereal at 3 a.m, fucking drinking beer.
I mean, I did help build a badass dune buggy.
Yeah.
I'll be right back. I gotta pee.
Gotta find this photo. We gotta get ready to wrap this shit up.
How long are we?
About 4 hours.
Oh, hey, yeah. I'm not a pissed off old lady. I love it.
I'm assuming mine's asleep.
I think mine's not asleep. She's probably reading a book.
Right, you're only
Oh.
you know if he has any fucking pictures.
Oh, I have no idea. I didn't even know if there was Jason even had a phone.
He has a Facebook, but I don't know what photos he has on here.
I have no idea.
It ain't on here. I don't know how I'd find it.
I don't know unless Jeff had some random picture, but the only thing I know of that Jeff's got on his is his dune buggy riding a wheelie.
Right? Yeah. Crazy fucking times.
Oh shit.
Damn, I had no intentions of drinking today. After this fucking work week, ugh,
Yeah, it looked like you had to put some hours in this week.
we did. Oh, I did. See, I stayed till 2 Monday, 6 Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday was 4, and then today I left at 1. Can't discuss why.
Oh yeah, private contract shit.
No, we haven't got the go ahead from our legal team yet to discuss those things. That's what's holding up the name of our company on our stuff. So, fun time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're still waiting. We're still waiting for legal to talk about it
For what?
for our company.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're still
Yeah.
waiting on legal.
It'll happen.
But, anyways, let's see here. Let's drag this over here. Let's see how long we've been going at.
We
it
have
for.
literally
3 hours and 30 minutes.
I mean, that's a good one. That's
Yeah.
a good one.
So, now that we went down memory lane.
Oh,
for-
we have went down some serious. You guys brought up some serious stuff.
Right?
Yeah, like memories I forgot I
So,
had.
Now you get to experience our fucking childhood.
Oh, I know. I love it.
And
It
just a
was
piece of
machine
it.
shops.
Because it was totally like mine.
It was machine shops. It was toys. It was. I mean, we didn't even get into the whole fur shed business.
I was just getting ready to say you had You had a
Everything
a
you see
fur
here-
shack too.
Yeah.
Like everything you see here, we've done it.
Fleshed a lot of hides.
Oh fuck.
Fucking,
Shit.
I can honestly say
Stretch,
the worst
cone,
I've ever
folded
done.
coon.
Oh,
The worst
I'm telling
I've-
you, but my dad
the
was a
worst I've
concrete
ever
man.
done was cowhides.
I did that for years though.
And see, I never
You cut
did.
out quick.
I never did
Because I
big.
graduated.
I know.
Never did big
Fuck.
animals, but like my dad was a concrete man. So
We
when the
didn't-
snow started flying, you didn't have a job.
Yeah, we didn't
You were drawing
send-
unemployment, and you ran a trap line.
Yep.
So we had
Those little fuckers right there on your wall. Those are expensive.
the
little
bobcats.
bitches.
Oh yeah,
I don't know like today, but like
back
when
in
we were
my
doing
day,
it,
they
otter.
were $110 a piece.
Otter was bigger than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was back when they first introduced
Yeah,
otters.
Otter was like fucking
I don't know what they
skyrocket.
got for cowhide.
Otter was
either,
like Bitcoin.
but
Right.
but they used to drive. They used to drive everywhere for cowhides.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
They
but they turned them into them
they had a-
gloves.
yeah. They
Oh,
had a-
yeah.
had a
He would
bucket.
sell them to the company who
No,
would
that
buy
was
them
the
for
deer
gloves.
skins.
Oh yeah, it was the deer skins.
Yeah, the deer skins,
Because we used to get those deer hide gloves that had the
And
wool.
flesh the hair off of them and make just straight leather rawhide.
We'd sell the hides to the company that made the gloves.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
And then they would
So-
turn them around and send us the gloves back to sell them.
Yeah.
Really?
So,
So
Jeff
basically
Jeff would get a shipment of 10,000 pairs of gloves,
No
Oh, yeah.
and
shit.
then they'd peddle these gloves, and they had people like waiting lists.
Oh,
for these
yeah.
gloves.
Oh dude, so
I
it
got a
was
pair sitting on the
And
home
still,
in my
even
truck
deer
right
hides were
now.
easy because you could pick them up and
They were
toss them.
so small, but I'm talking
But
like
you got to the
the
cow hides.
rafters of a building. The doors were 10 foot, and on the door.
Right?
And the rafters are what 2 foot above the doors usually,
Yeah,
No,
for
they-
sure.
They were
And-
taller than that.
and you were throwing. They used to pick you up in a fucking skid steer bucket, and they'd pick you up with folded hides, and you throw them up as high as you could get to the rafters.
On the rafters?
And you
and
throw
you-
salt up
16 foot.
there. You throw
All
fucking salt on
the
them.
garage was every bit of
You want?
30 foot,
Are we not out of beer yet?
No.
and
I'll have one more.
but cowhide.
Good.
Cowhide was a
There's
whole
2
other
more.
animal. So
Oh, yeah.
it's-
Dude,
it's-
okay. So back in the day when I did football, the only way you could get out of football conditioning was if you threw hay bales.
oh yeah.
And so, like, because that was a good workout was hay bales.
Know
Well,
nothing about it.
So I remember,
Never.
Thousands and thousands of bales of clover and alfalfa. Know
Oh.
nothing about it.
like 100.
And if I never see another one, 185-pound bales,
Yeah.
and make you itch from head to toe, if I never see another one, it'll be a fucking day
But I
too
can
soon.
guarantee you, at the end of that day, the beer tastes great.
Oh, yeah.
The
You're
best beer
18
you ever
years
had in your
old,
life.
and the guy that you just loaded.
Would pay you in beer. Would
Oh,
pay you in beer.
I mean, honestly, we started about 14.
Yeah.
But the guy that you were throwing hay bales for, he's like, boys, there's a 30-pack waiting on you. And we lived in a dry county where you had to drive to Missouri to get beer.
Yeah.
We're like, what? He goes, I got a 30-pack waiting on you. And he said, and I'll give you a bonus if we can get them in before dark.
I remember doing that shit for
God.
fucking
Cut from head to toe from them
I
clover
remember
bales.
doing that shit for a dime a bale,
Really?
a dime, and then
And
the older
he's a highfalutin motherfucker.
and the
I was
older
going to
got,
say something else. We got 6 cents a bale,
Yeah.
and we had to split it between
Well,
three
and then
guys.
Jeff's dad, after he figured out I could stack them too, I could throw them up there, hop up there, stack them, and then jump back down. He was giving me 25 cents to do both.
We had a hay monster.
As it out and picks them up.
Yep.
it
It had
would
the
come off
conveyor.
belt,
We had
yeah.
a hay monster, and we got 6 cents a bale, but they had to be loaded in the barn and stacked.
Yeah.
We had to have it done before dark.
Yeah.
And we got a 30-pack of beer.
Yep.
That's the drunkest I think I've ever been in my whole life.
But we did so.
And it was the most fun
So in conditioning, that was the only excuse you could get out of.
if you were hauling hay.
Yeah. And so I told them, I was like, well, that's prime cowhide season.
Hay season. Oh.
Cowhide
And
season.
and I'm talking 110 degrees with cowhide with fat and shit still on it.
And
I'm talking-
smelled.
I don't know
and
what they
so-
were. I would say they were every bit of 115 to 150 pounds apiece.
Some of them, depending on what they were about,
And
were
smell.
about 200 pounds.
They didn't.
You get used to it after a
when,
while.
No, well, when you pulled them right out of the barrel, they didn't really smell too bad.
After they had been sitting
But
in salt for
2
a
or
while.
3 weeks, them buildings got.
Were they in
rotten.
lime?
No,
or
it's
just
salt.
salt water?
Just
Just
rock
salt.
Yeah.
No, just
No,
rock salt.
You just chuck rock salt on them.
Really?
Like they'd go to the fucking hardware store and buy
Bags and bags.
Bags
and
of rock
bags
salt?
and
bags
bags
of rock salt, and then you.
Oh,
You
because
would
you're
take a
not
fucking
trying
flat-
to keep the hair from slipping. You want the hair to come off.
Yeah.
We want them
And
cured.
See,
so
we used
we
to do
would-
salt and
and so
alum, and it would keep the
I
hair,
told
and then just flush the backside.
No,
so
that
I
was
told
just
my
for
football
cowhide and
coach,
deer hides.
I said, I'm not hauling hay. I said, but can you do me a favor and look up how much a cowhide weighs? So he did. He was like, what am I looking this up for? I was like, I drag them probably 40, 50 yards
Well,
at a time.
You gotta
All day
drive,
long.
You gotta drive with them, and you unload an empty bale or a barrel, and you pick up a barrel, and the barrel had I don't know 4 or 5 cowhides in them. That's all that would fit in a 55-gallon drum, and then you had to
200
pick,
pounds
and
piece.
then you had to pick them up onto a 16-foot car trailer and roll them up to the front, and then you did that, and the car trailer was from the front to the back of the car trailer, and every time that truck left the driveway, it came back with a full load of barrels.
Oh my.
And
And
then
so-
that night, after you picked them all up, now you have to get them out of the barrels and you have to put them on the ground. Because if they sit for 24 hours, they'll start to rot.
Right.
So once you get them, they're your problem.
It's game
You
time.
got to get them out.
So,
you got to get
like,
them
There was
stretched.
times I was up till
Yeah.
3, 4 in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah.
so I was like,
And
if
you
so,
ruin
I was
a
That'll
pair-
make a man out of
you
you
ruin a
quick.
pair of gloves every day.
Oh,
so
for
I
sure.
explained. I
Your-
was like,
your gloves would turn to literal rocks.
Yeah.
Because they would dry the leather out.
so I was like, this is what I'm
God.
doing. If you want me to fucking send you proof, and they're like, no, we don't need proof. And I was in better shape.
I was making more money.
Salting
Dude, I was
cow
like 12
hides.
years old.
I
and
remember.
earning-
So I remember the first time I did cowhides. We literally, and, like, you had to drag them over after you salt them and put them on pallets.
Yep.
So then they could pick up the pallets, and like you can only get like
You had to fold them.
15, 20 on a pallet because they're so heavy.
And then at the end of the year,
Yeah.
whenever it was time to sell them, a semi back down the road.
I mean, multiple semis
an
would back
open
down roads.
aluminum trailer.
And they'd slide them bitches in there.
and
Stack
they
it
would,
full.
They would literally, they would pick them up as far as they could. You had then when they set a date for the semi to come X day, and then before that you had to have every deer and cowhide folded and on pallets.
Right.
So you touched them all 3 times. So you touched them to take them to the barn or to get them, touched them to sold them, and then touched them to fold them 4 times because then you had to touch them to throw them in the trailer.
Yeah.
Because then they load these
And
the
when we
semi
say
up
throw
and
them,
they'd
you had to
push 'em.
heave them bitches.
They'd push them as far with the skid steer as they could. They load a pallet and they'd push it.
And then
push
you'd
it,
have to
and
stack
push
them.
it and push it and push it, and then you'd throw them all off the trailer onto the trailer,
Because they were in them
and
big
then
old
you
dump
throw the
trailers.
pallets over the sides,
Yeah.
and then they just kept feeding you until the truck was full.
Oh
Yeah.
my
and then the
God.
next one would be in line, and it was a motherfucker.
I remember
That'll make a man out of you early.
I remember Jeff's dad walked up to me, and the first time I was dog tired. I mean, we got there at like 6:30, 7 a.m. and Janet made us breakfast. We ate a fucking big meal for breakfast because you didn't stop.
Right.
I mean, there's no time to stop, and it was dark. I mean, it was dark. The last semi left, and I remember we went back to the first shed because they had some furniture in there in like the lobby area.
Right.
I sat down, and he's like, "You fucking tired, kid?" I'm like, "Oh," and he smoked them Cheyenne fucking.
Oh
The
yeah.
Cheyenne Pete
The
cigarettes.
Indian
And
when
I say smoke,
Reservation.
he chain smoked. He would finish one, light
Like
another one
the
up.
rest of
mini
like,
cigar
They
cigarettes.
arrived at
Yeah.
Joplin, and they'd buy like
Cases.
a fucking back seat full of these Cheyenne
No
cigarettes.
Yeah,
shit.
I mean,
Because
like
he never
he
put
would,
them down
and so
unless
he
was
so he
eating.
goes,
You didn't put it down.
he
Oh
was
my
like, I'm
God.
gonna. He was like, well, time to pay everybody out. Well, Jeff wasn't real big on it because Jeff had plenty of money.
Right.
Jeff's like, you can just hold on to it, whatever. He'd walk up to me and he'd be like, here, and he'd fucking write me a check. He'd pull out the check. He had one of them big
You
old
never got
fucking
paid all
binders.
year long.
Big binder.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he'd pay you in one
You
chunk.
never got paid all year long.
That wasn't hard to
Until the
take, was
semis
it?
were
But he'd
loaded.
pay you a check, and the first time I walked up to him, he handed me a check. It was like $1,900.
Yep.
And I went like,
you're
oh fuck.
14 years old.
You was
And
rich.
he was like, "You worked your fucking dick in the dirt for me," and
Thank you.
he
You're
was
gonna
like,
pay
"Thank
for it.
you."
You're gonna get paid.
And
for
I
it.
fucking left, and I went to my mom. I was like, "What do I do with this?" And she was like, "Well, you cash it." And I was like, "Oh boy." I mean, like, fucking just shaking, like,
oh
"Oh boy."
we're gonna party.
You know how much
hard.
Xbox points I could buy with
No
this shit? At
shit.
the
Oh
time,
my
it's
God.
Xbox points or as full or parts or whatever. I mean, it
Yeah.
was just fucking like, it was already burning a hole in my wallet and never even touched my wallet.
Right.
So my mom would take it to the fucking bank and she'd cash it and she'd bring me the money and I'd be like, "Oh fuck!" And it was just beer,
That's
fucking
fast. But then it's like, when's first season start?
yeah.
Yeah. How soon can we start?
Yeah.
And I mean, that was just the fucking cow hides. That wasn't scraping hides. That wasn't fucking
Oh, yeah.
That's
combing them
wild.
out. That wasn't baling them up. That,
I mean,
That was
wasn't
had-
fucking-
totally
we had
way more
tumblers.
industrial
Yeah.
than what I did.
We had
Like literally,
tumblers.
Dad would run a trap line, and we'd get 30, 40 coyotes in a winter, bunch of
Well,
possums, bunch of coons.
I don't know how many coyotes. I don't know how many coons. I don't know if I ever see a coon.
I can
hide
honestly
again.
tell you,
I mean, honestly, I have seen the back of a '88 Chevy pickup, tailgate to cab, completely level, from just Dad running single leg traps.
And then we
I
go.
can
Then
tell
we drive
you-
to Iowa,
Oh
We'd
fuck.
load up all the coon hide, all the
Fur
dry.
buyers in Iowa.
His dad
yeah.
bought a
Yeah,
go
I've
straight
We'd
done
have a
that.
booth.
That's
We'd have
cool.
a booth, and
Yeah.
we'd have people buy bales.
Stark
And they
fur
grade
hide.
them.
Ba-
The guys that come in, and he's like, "Oh, this is a late season."
But
He
no,
said,
they pull
"I'll
one.
take those."
They pull one out of the bale. You pull one. You pick whichever one you wanted to pull out of the bale, and that's what that whole bale graded.
Oh, really?
And you
Yeah.
buy that bale at that grade.
Oh, this dude.
I
When we went
remember-
to Ankeny, Iowa, he started pulling them out, and he's like, "I'll buy as many as you want to sell." He goes, "But I want to pick them."
Yeah.
And he's like,
Ernie did do
XL, 2XL.
It
Because
was all
we
by the
bailed them.
bale.
We bailed them. We had a table, a Coleman table that was right by the baler.
Right.
And we had a table, and on that table had marks. And if it made it to this mark, it went in this bale. If it made it to this mark, it went in
Okay.
this bale. It went into this mark, it went in this bale. But Ernie would go through, and he was so quick at it that he'd just run them through. And like you said, you had grades, and then you had
Yeah.
lengths or
Yeah.
XLs, double XL, whatever.
Yeah.
But he would go through, and you'd walk in, and there'd be 10,000 coyote hides or coon hides sitting there, and it was like, this is a bale, this is a bale, this is a bale, this is a bale, and everything in that bale was the same fucking hide.
Really.
Everything in that bale was
He
the
could
same hide.
open it
within
up,
this-
Color wise and
fucking look
everything.
at it.
Yeah.
Like no, what would drive me nuts is what he would do first is as soon as you would comb it and shit, he'd take it and fucking fold it.
Yep.
Just
Yeah.
fucking roll it
Start
and
popping
then
it.
fold up and go that one, and then do it again and go that one, and like he just
And
fucking
it looked
knew
the same to you.
it looked
Yeah.
the same to your eye, but his eye, he
But it was
knew what
all
he
in
was
a
doing.
dark color.
Yeah.
That's like these two coyote hides. The biggest reason I kept them is because they're super blonde. They're super rare.
Dude, we used to have
You can
people
get the
drop
red
these
ones.
bitches off at the fucking door.
Yeah.
They would pull up and just throw them in the fucking yard.
Well, when I was working at Timber Hills, we run snares on that high fence
Mhm.
because they dig in bad.
Yeah.
And if you got a coyote inside that high fence, there's 1,700 acres. That tear all kinds of shit up. So I'd run every morning. I'd get there, and for the first hour, I'd run snares. And eventually, it's gonna happen. Probably gonna be a while because I gotta have 13 more that match these two. That's why I've saved these two. I want a coat. I want
Oh,
a
really?
coyote.
Yeah.
Coyote coat. Like I saw one year at an outdoor expo in Kansas City. This dude walked in, and I'm like,
I
they
remember
used the
whenever
tails as the collar, and he had the tails coming around. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta have one of them. But I gotta have the blonde ones. I don't like that red or that real dark color. I want the blonde hides. One of these days, I'll have one, and I'll be that guy.
So I remember when
I
we
dare
moved in-
somebody throw some
whenever my
paint on
mom
that
first
shit.
moved into Jeff's house.
Had that fucking bear rug on the floor that if you stepped on its claws, it would
No,
fucking
that
stick
was
to
no.
your
He
foot.
had the bear rug on the wall.
Black
He-
bear.
No, he had the Wolverine on the floor,
Oh yeah.
Oh,
and they had them big old,
Big old
honking fucking
claws.
claws. And then Jeff had wolf hides
Wolf eye.
really?
everywhere, monsters. I mean, like they made these bitches.
Oh
look like
yeah,
fucking
I would
babies.
love to
Like
have a
they'd-
wolf.
If they'd scratch across this wall, they'd be like corner.
Does he
up
still
there.
have them?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
I would love to
And
have a wolf
then,
hide. What do you think he'd sell one for?
He would.
I don't, he probably wouldn't.
They
He's
probably came from Evelyn and Ernest and all them guys.
Probably.
I mean, hell,
Oh my
But-
God, I would
and
love
and
to have a
then
wolf
I
hide.
remember. I wish I knew how big he was, but that deer he had on the wall
Yeah.
was a fucking giant. I mean,
Really?
like, and I'm not being mean.
350-pound,
He would make the deer on your wall at your house look tiny. I mean, he's
like body wise or horns.
just horns, just
Oh, yeah.
fucking a monster. And
Well,
I'm
he's
like,
gonna be big then, because
and I'm
I got
like,
280
where- and I'm
80
like,
plus on the wall
and-
down there.
he never said where he shot him.
I don't know.
He was just like,
He
I
never-
shot him. It was one of those one-time deals. He showed
Hmm.
up and he died. And then there's the one, the first day that he had put together. He had found a set of horns that were, I mean, they were fucking massive. I mean, he was he was hunting, and
Right.
he had found
I
them on
can
the
hear no
ground.
number matter than fuck that you
Norton?
just called them a horn.
And antlers, whatever. Like he had found this set of
Yeah.
antlers that were fucking. I mean, I'm talking bases were fucking just
Yeah.
massive, massive.
6, 7
horns,
inch
and-
bases.
Yeah, and he had shot a doe, and he had convinced his taxidermist guy to put it together. So when people walked in, they're like, "Good God!" I mean, this fucking beast of a fucking deer
And it was a doe
that was
cape.
not even real. Like if you looked right next to the eyes, you could see the pins holding the antlers in.
Love
And so Jeff went up with a black
it.
permanent
The big
marker.
jackalope.
It was, I mean, but it was like it looked almost real.
Yeah.
But the one he had at the house that was older than fucking dirt. I mean, he was this monstrosity of a deer. And Jeff's like, I had never seen him before. He had just showed up, and it was
Right.
one of those right place, right time.
Yeah.
He died.
Yeah.
And I think he still has them on the same
Oh,
fucking
sure,
wall. He
yeah.
hadn't moved in fucking.
That's
I
awesome.
mean, I've known Jeff since I was 4th grade, and he has not moved
Well,
from
I
the
was
same
3
spot.
when we
That was
moved
the
out
same
there.
deer that Mom used to hang the fucking. She used to hang the stockings from.
Yeah, he was so
Really?
mad. He was
Yeah.
so mad
Oh, he fucking hated it.
because Jeff never lived. My mom was the first woman that ever Jeff lived with,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
she moved out there with a couple of fucking kids.
Yeah.
and it
And-
was like makeover time, and he was like, I'm not taking the deer heads off the wall, and Mom was like, you can keep them on there, but I don't want to hear you bitch. And he's like, whatever. And then Christmas come around, and she'd hang the stockings from their antlers.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
he walked in the house, and he's like, what are you doing? And she's like, I told you not to bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Your mama
And-
was one of a kind.
she was something else.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I mean, we grew up. I mean, dude, my mom fucking hated it.
Oh, I don't
The
know
smell,
why.
like because that grease doesn't come out of your
oh,
clothes.
yeah.
The grease.
You don't get rid
and
of that
Oh
smell.
no, you
No.
walked up to the house and like you didn't even walk in the back.
She would
porch,
literally
would
make
step
you
out
get naked on the back porch.
You know what's funny?
Should I put that shit on the floor?
Just to reiterate on that, my dad was part of a frontiersman outfit for a long time. Made all of his clothes out of hides that he'd tanned and all this shit. But you know how all them guys had a coonskin hat?
Mhm.
My old man had a freaking skunk hat. And that's the nastiest son of a bitch you ever smelled in your whole life. My dad come walking up to the back door. And my mom goes, you will sleep outside before you come in here smelling like that. Because he'd skinned like 4 skunks.
You wanna know what I hated the most?
Horrible.
Them fucking muskrats.
Oh, yeah.
Them little
Nasty.
bitty fucking bastards. But I
Stanky.
will say that if anybody ever shoots one of these bitches,
What, a
I-
coyote?
I can sew them motherfuckers up pristine as fuck.
Sew
well-
up the holes in them?
Well, because whenever you when someone shoots a coyote, they don't give a fuck about it.
Typically
Oh,
not.
I do.
I mean,
Well,
like,
typically speaking,
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
they
You're out
just
coyote
fucking
hunting,
blow a
you're
hole.
running
You
around
just shoot 'em
inside of
wherever
it.
you can shoot 'em.
But
Yeah.
I remember walking down the fur shed after school. I'd get home, I mean, it'd be middle of fucking winter time,
Just
walk
go
down to
to
school,
shoot 'em in the
and
eyeball.
there would
Yep.
be fucking coyotes just
I
laying.
promise you won't find a bullet hole in either one of these.
Like there'd be coyotes just laying on the grass out in front of the shed because people would just
Gotta skin them out.
And Ernie would go out and look and go, yeah, that one we're not fixing that one. Yeah,
They had
yeah.
this big hole
And
in the
I'm
front
talking. There
that
was some
Just
that
to
had
throw
holes.
the ones that couldn't
Yeah.
do anything
well,
with
that
it.
in the carcasses.
Yeah.
And the piles of fat that would come off the scraping
Flushing
boards.
them. Yeah.
What you didn't burn because that was the fire starter because it was
Right.
wood burning stove.
Right.
In the shop, you'd go get you a fucking scoop of the fat. You throw it on top of the fire. and
sure.
It would just burn the whole. I mean, it would.
Dude,
light
I
up.
remember. So it was every April.
Yep. They would.
Every
load the
April,
skid steer buckets
I would
full
get
of
the skid
fucking-
steer, and Jeff would go grab the skid steer, and we would fucking shovel all that fat into the skid steer and take it up to the fucking farm.
Put it in
and-
a hole and then put all the brush that you could find on top of the.
It'd burn
And
for
burn it.
and
fucking
you'd
weeks.
You'd light
Oh,
a
yeah.
match.
It would fucking burn to no
that
end.
fat-
It burned to the point where Jeff they dig a hole in the ground and then it would burn and burn and burn and burn and then they just push it in. They just push the dirt back in on top of it.
And it's probably still smolder
Oh, I'm
forever.
sure.
Oh fuck!
I'm
It was
sure.
wild.
That fat
But,
burns so good.
yeah, we
I
fucking.
got a buddy that makes fire starter
Mhm.
on top of his wood stove out of animal fat,
Yep.
cotton fibers, and old t-shirts.
So what we
He'll
did
put
was
it all in there
we
and just
would
cook it.
grab. We would go out there, and Jeff had small little pieces of like 2x4s, and we would chop them up in little chunks, toss them in there,
And then like the
and we'd
ash
grab a
scoop-
bunch of fucking newspapers.
An ash scoop. And one ash scoop would light the whole stove.
Oh,
and-
scoop of
and-
ash
Yeah.
with some fat.
No. So we would just grab a bunch of newspapers, shove them in there, and then grab a scoop of fat and put it in there, and it just. I mean, and it
Take
was
off.
fucking rolling.
That's wild.
And
And
then once it burned out,
I
to the
remember
embers,
one
you throw
time-
your wood on top of it.
I
remember
The
one
shop would
time-
be so hot you'd sweat.
oh, you'd sweat your balls off.
Isn't that crazy?
But I remember
Because
one
so
time.
many people have lived their life and have no clue what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Right?
Like nothing. Never seen.
How do you think them fucking fancy bitches wear them jackets
Yeah,
and
no
shit?
shit.
It's because guys like what we did.
My problem is not enough people wear fur anymore.
Oh yeah, well, because it's like
Oh,
frowned
clothes.
upon now.
Yeah,
'cause,
PETA
you know,
and
peat and all that
people
shit.
eat.
But I remember
what
the
is that?
one
People
time-
eating tasty animals.
The one time Jeff ever scared me was they had that big deep freeze. He had a big deep freeze in there, so like they would throw carcasses in there when they didn't have a chance to skin them. They'd throw them in there. Then after time, we'd throw them out. Well, there's one time some buddy of Jeff's shot something, and Jeff goes, "Go and open up that fucking door." Well, I opened up the fucking door, and there's a fucking mountain lion
No.
frozen. And I opened that fucking door, and it scared the dog shit.
Oh
out of me.
yeah, because it's looking right
Massive
at you.
fucking mountain lion, eyes wide open, fucking feet just. I mean, just curled up, and I was like,
I'd say the
"Holy shit!"
scariest time I was ever part of any of that was Jeff trapped a bobcat,
Oh,
and he used to carry around a fucking 357 revolver,
Mm-hmm.
and he'd walk up to the cage, and he was a crazy motherfucker because he'd fuck with him in that cage.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, man,
Just kill it and be
all
done.
he's gotta do is get out.
And
so
he-
he wants me to get Jeff on the show.
And
Yes.
and he'd walk up to him and he'd
Oh,
he'd kick the cage.
that one hanging over
Oh
there.
my god, he'd be so mean to them, and they'd just sit there and just that scream, that growl.
Oh,
that they'd do.
it take.
And then he'd just he'd get it back into a corner where it quit moving, and then he'd just right in
That
the face.
sunbuck hanging over there. So I set the snares, and this was before I knew what I was doing. On them holes coming in underneath the high fence, I didn't know you're supposed to set them for the size of their head. So I just set it to fill the hole. And I
Trapped
get,
around the waist.
oh, I caught him right in the midsection. So I get on the buggy, and I'm going to go check snares. And I get about halfway through this high fence, and I get right up to the back gate. And I'm like, oh, got a bobcat. We're good. And I come pulling up. If I'd have pulled that freaking buggy 6 inches closer, he'd have ate my lunch.
Oh, Bob.
And I thought he was
fucking
dead.
evil.
And I come pulling up, and I slid out of the seat. And when I slid out of the seat, that sumbitch jumped. And all 4 feet were coming right at my head.
And then oop,
And it caught him right at the last second. I mean, literally, I could feel the air off of him. And I thought, oh, God. Shot him on 22. Put him in the back of the buggy, brought him down. And because we worked there at the high fence and it was management and preserve deal, he had tags, readily tags. And he's like, here, I'll just put a tag on it, take it home, whatever. And so I took it home and Dad skinned it. And I told Dad, I said, do a good job on this one. He's still got all of his feet. And he's all
Dude, I
skinned
remember
out
whenever
perfect.
we were
He
doing
goes,
the first
why? I
shed
said,
shit.
that one just about got me.
I remember when we did the first shed shit, and the tags were a big deal. I mean, like tags were a big.
Yeah.
Every fucking hide had
You
a
better
tag.
have one in the eye
Now,
hole.
if a tag got broke,
Yeah.
it was a big deal.
Yeah, you had to call.
Like
Oh,
you had to
game
fucking
board.
you had to pull that skin out.
take a picture of it,
You had to
call
take a
them.
picture of it. You had to take the tag, call in the fucking conservation, all the other bullshit. Call it in. They'd ship you a new fucking tag, put it in there. Like it was a big fucking deal. And Otter was the same way, wasn't it?
Oh, otters were super strict.
dude,
You
I
had
remember.
to call, tell them when it was killed, how many hours ago it had been.
Dude, I remember
come
he
out-
bought these special combs because we had to comb the otter out,
Yeah,
and he was like, "All right, this is what I want you to do." And he's like, "You got to make it fucking pretty."
and take your time.
And he'd fucking sit there and just fucking comb it.
and the
He'd be like, you
beaver-
got-
remember
yeah.
catching beaver skins?
Oh fuck, the big old
Big
fucking circle beaver skins.
So I've never
Big
gotten
old fucking hooks you had to
I've
fucking
never
hook in
gotten
there.
made fun of more in my whole life. And I still, to this day, I'm 46 years old, and I swear to it on everything that's holy. My dad trapped an 85-pound beaver. Biggest thing I've ever seen in my whole life.
I heard they're
and
mean as fuck.
And a normal beaver hide,
Yeah.
25 to 30 inches side to side once
Yeah.
you cut them in the circle and stretch them.
Oh, some of them we had curled over the fucking.
This
outsides.
dude was just shy of 5 foot
Yeah.
across him. I mean, beautiful.
Yeah.
And so I go to school. I'm just as proud as anything. We went and ran the trap line, and Dad caught an 80-pound beaver, and they called me a liar. Everybody at school called me a liar. They're like, there ain't no such thing as an 80-pound beaver. I'm like, I'm telling you, the fat part of his tail was that wide. And they're like, yeah, okay, whatever. I'll never forget it till I die. Dad got it tanned out, and he goes, take that sumbitch into school. He said, and show them all. Dude, that beaver hide, I could have damn near made a coat out of one hide. And they're like, oh, that's a big one. I'm like, yeah. You still think I'm a liar? I got nothing to gain.
We have been there. We've been it
So
all.
cool.
Yeah. All right. So to wrap up this episode with Luke Combs Jr. here,
Luke Combs.
we're
I need
gonna.
to be.
I
We're-
just want you
I
to
need
know.
this to see him so that way we.
I just
can
want you to know
be
I'm gonna
stuck up.
fucking
God damn, he does look like Luke Combs.
I'm
on
gonna
it.
fucking
on a
I'm
camera.
gonna fucking hashtag Luke Combs.
Out
in
where
this
the wild
video.
things are. We
Yeah.
brought him in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Be on tour next week.
we went
Check
down a
me
little
out.
bit of a memory lane. We just
Oh.
we two
No,
we
this
fucking
was
told
great.
stories.
This was
we
great.
were I mean it was fun. He finally showed up this time. He
Oh,
fucking ditched us
Jesus.
last
I
time.
mean, he did kind of ditch us, but that last episode was pretty good because
Yeah.
I made him like totally spill his beans on all that shit, and we got emotional and drunk.
Well, if
and
you watch
all
the
that good
first
stuff.
episode, if you watch the first part, he says we're gonna get to Dr. Phil here,
Oh,
and we'll be
and
right
we'll
back.
be right back.
Yeah, and it cuts out.
I love it.
But So, but yeah, we just got my brother on here.
Do what we
I
do.
need to call my stepdad.
Yes, you do.
Maybe we can try to get Jeff
You
here.
do.
Yeah, I don't know. He's
We get enough beer in him.
If
He'll
I
do
tell
it.
Jeff, I'll buy him beer.
And
yeah.
we'll
He might
pretend
show
the
up.
camera isn't here. If you can get a guy like him on here, and he can
Jeff is
forget
a
about the
fucking-
camera being here, that'd be a great episode.
The crazy thing is he probably fucking remembers you. I'll have to.
Oh,
call
I'm
him.
sure. I'm sure.
Because if you don't remember, we went to his ex-wife's house. Her parents had the pool, and he was the tattooed dude throwing us around the fucking pool.
You
Yeah.
just have long hair.
No, I never had. I had a really long beard.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
That's him.
what's
he
your,
was
what's
the
your
one-
ex-wife's name?
Tasha
Tasha.
Beal.
No shit. That's
No.
right.
Yeah.
Full fucking circle.
Yeah.
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 He's the tattooed fuck that was throwing us
Yeah.
around the fucking
She
Oh,
looked
pool.
like a
shit.
girl when I was with her. She kind of looks like a dude now.
It's because she's with Tony.
I know.
But yeah,
He likes the boys.
but he's the tattooed fuck that threw us around the pool a bunch, and we
Yeah.
hung out with
That makes
Tasha.
Yeah.
sense.
That was him.
Yeah,
So
You used to do tattoos then.
I did.
Yeah,
I did
right.
for a long time. That's why I'm buying a whole bunch of new shit because
he's about to be my tattoo guy.
My-
Good, I need some free ink.
my little girl's gonna be here in July, and she's like, "Dad, I kind of want this." I'm like, "Okay," but I want this too. I'm like, "Okay." She goes, "But I want this too." I'm like, "Baby, we don't have time to do all of that." I was like, "You pick one, and I'll do it for your birthday and
You
for your
say that,
graduation."
but she says that and goes, Daddy,
yeah, I probably
please."
will. She's
And
probably
she
gonna be
gonna fucking-
tattooed from
I
her
don't
hip
give a
all
shit
the way
what
to
you
her
say.
ankle.
All three of us here are dads of girls,
Yeah.
and if they say, Dad, please, you
Yeah.
just do it. I mean,
Yeah, she knows I will.
I don't want to hear your shit. Addy Bug has you.
She
wrapped
was
around her
live. She
finger.
was live on TikTok last night, and I'm sitting talking to her and commenting and all this stuff. And Reed come down after she got done, and he had her on FaceTime, and he's like, "Hey, you want to talk to my sister?" I was like, "Been talking to her for an hour," and he goes, "What?" I said, "She's been live on TikTok. I've been watching her for an hour," and she's like, "Oh, hi, Dad. Yeah, we've been talking." So yeah,
Yeah, his kid's Ridley.
love her.
Little shit.
No, he's a shithead, but I love him.
But that's where we're gonna wrap it up. So it was fun. We went down a little memory lane.
God bless. Love y'all.
So
Fuck, we've been doing this a while.
and you said you're gonna be camera shy.
Oh, I know.
He ain't camera shy.
Yeah, fucking text me.
You got you have literally got a hashtag. God damn. On the camera?
I'm
Yeah, Luke
hashtagging
Combs.
fucking Luke Combs.
Like,
in
yeah.
this bitch.
Yeah.
So,
Should have worn my black card.
You should have wore a freaking Columbia PFG shirt.
and a PFG hat.
Yeah.
Because I know
I'm
you
telling
got
you.
it.
They don't have a PFG yet.
Well, I'll buy you one. Because the next time you're on here, we're going to swear to God Luke Combs is here.
They-
They'll never know.
All right, we'll see you guys later.
Bye.